Welcome to the Monster Mile, a 1 mile track here in the northeastern United States, and it's known as the Monster Finian. And Miles the Monster is going to be hungry tonight to claim some Xfinity Series race cars tonight in the 3Wide Racing League Driver Development Series for round number 5. This place is unforgiving, it's fast, it's high banked. Drivers describe going around here as landing Finian, but who's going to land in victory lane tonight?
Well, I can imagine that we might potentially see either the 15 of Chad Frankenfield or the 99 of Joshua Adams. Both those guys seem to be the peak of the field. In fact, if we could take a look at our point standings here. Oh, it's on page 2.
Well, that's not where we wanted to go. Anyway, Chad Frankenfield is leading by 10 points over second place Joshua Adams. Both of them have a pair of wins, Finian, so I'd say it's a pretty safe bet that they're going to be in good shape tonight. The question is which one is going to come out on top? This is a little bit different racetrack than we've seen. A lot of the tracks that we've gone to have been relatively flat. You know, Iowa last week was a little bit messy, the first race, but when we come to a place like Dover, the high banks is a totally different style of racing, and I'm curious to see who that favors more. We did see Frankenfield win at Charlotte for round number 1, and that was a little bit higher bank, but as this ticks over to the first page here, Finian, Chad Frankenfield leading Joshua Adams by 10 points.
Yeah, indeed. It's pretty much going to come down to between those two drivers for the championship. You can see Austin Roy, he's in third. Unfortunately, he's not here tonight as far as we've seen. Hopefully you can get him in the next 2.5 minutes, but currently not here at the moment. Kevin Jadricic also doing pretty well, and we've seen some decent speed out of him.
Absolutely. So there's the rest of your point standings there, Finian. So right now we're underway qualifying here at the Monster Mile. 2.5 minutes remaining. Let's take a look at how we're doing so far. It looks like James Simmons in the 83 sitting on provisional pole right now. Jonathan Cogswell in the 27, he's backing down from his qualifying effort after knocking in a time for 4th. Rusty Capel, our in-race reporter tonight, in that Sun Energy 1 Mustang, is sitting in 11th. Joshua Adams out on track, about to go for his lap.
Ooh, and a nice iBuy power paint scheme. That looks amazing.
It does look good. You know, you're a little biased there, Finian.
Yeah. It's the computer I use. And, oh, the Xfinity banner also, which is half.
Yeah, so there was a discussion. A lot of times this series does enforce banners to be correct, but due to some trading paints issues, they have said that this race, don't worry about the banners, it's all good. Joshua Adams goes to pole with that lap right to the top of the board by 90 thousandths of a second over James Simmons. How about Dave Hunt going for a lap right now? He's pulled into 11th place. Chad Brown on track. Brandon Key has already put a time in. Austin Darbyshire just pulling out onto the racetrack now, actually just stopping. It looks like he might try to go again. Jamie Dobbs in the 77 out on a flying lap for him.
Yeah, he's currently putting a time down. We'll see where he ends up.
And down off into the corners again to 3rd place on his first lap out. So very quick time for the 77. Can he improve on lap 2? Frankenfield is in 7th right now, so not a fantastic qualifying effort for the E15 car, but we know how quick he is in the race. Jamie Dobbs, has he improved this time through? Doesn't look like it. A 24.024. He was off by 1,000th from his previous lap.
And I think really between Frankenfield and Adams, they got to treat this race like it's the last race of the season. We do have another round, however, we're going to Talladega, and it's completely up in the air as for the amount of points that any of them are going to get, because it can really go either which way. So these guys pretty much, this is the last race where they can really try to beat each other. At Talladega, it can be anyone's race.
Kevin Jadricic went through and took pole away from Joshua Adams and then pounded the wall off of turn 2 on his second lap. How about Liam Sheen in the 55 Chevrolet Camaro across the line for his second lap, and that will put him a 24.7. No improvement that time through. He'll stay 20th. Around out qualifying, Kevin Jadricic on pole here tonight at Dover at the Monster Mile. Joshua Adams going to be on the outside of the front row. Going to be a good one tonight, Finian. We saw a lot of bumping and bang in the first race at Iowa, the Iowa doubleheader last week. Second race was a lot calmer. Curious to see how tonight's going to go.
Yeah, indeed, curious to see how tonight's going to go. This track is pretty difficult. One of the more difficult tracks on the NASCAR circuit. And like you said, is due to the cars landing, and coming off these corners, it's really treacherous. You can also see too, pretty toasty out there, 107 degrees track temperature, so it's pretty slick on the track. But yeah, the way these corners are, if we can get a look at one of the corners, coming off of them really is where it's dangerous. You can see off turn 4 there, it's kind of is hard to see there, but when you'll see the cars come through there, it's a little bit of a bump there. These cars go over and then land back under on the track, and that could really get the cars loose, especially with this package, because right now at the moment, I think these cars have the least amount of downforce to them out of the 3 NASCAR National Series.
Absolutely, Finian. 150 laps here tonight at the Monster Mile. They call this place the self-cleaning racetrack. Look at the back straightaway, Finian. I believe it's 9 degrees of banking on the straights here. That's quite a bit.
Which is more than most tracks have at all, even in the corners. So a lot of banking all around this track, and especially in the corners. So like you said, yeah, we'll see cars, if they crash, come sliding down the surface. And that we've seen a bunch of guys get collected in the cars when they're coming down. So that's a good enough thing these guys got to watch out for tonight.
Let's take a look at our starting lineup on the front row. It's going to be Kevin Jadrosich alongside Joshua Adams and the number 99 Chevrolet Camaro. Adams coming off of a victory in race 2 of the doubleheader last week at Iowa.
Moving back to row 3, we got, row 2, we got James Simmons starting in 3rd. Outside him, Jamie Dobbs in the 77 Chevy Camaro will be starting in 4th.
Back to row number 3, Josh Batista and the number 20 Chevrolet Camaro, starting alongside Donovan Smith in that Valvoline number 51 Toyota Camry.
Moving back to row number 4, Jonathan Cogswell is going to be starting in 7th. Chad Frankenfield, who won last week in race number 1 at Iowa, will be starting in 8th.
Back in 9th place, David Wilson in the number 39 car. He'll be starting alongside Corey Lindsay in the 00. And Lindsay looking to have a little bit of improvement from last week's run at Iowa. He'll be starting on the outside of row number 5.
Then we got Mike Stevens in 63. He's going to be starting in 11th in a Toyota Camry. Outside of him, in the 8, Richard Lafferty in a Chevy Camaro will be starting in 12th.
In 13th, Dave Hunt's number 53 Chevrolet Camaro alongside the other Camaro, the number 94, Brennan Klusterhuis.
You can see the cars starting to roll out onto the track as we head to 15th place. We have Rusty Capel, who's our in-race reporter for this race. We'll talk to him under caution. He's in a Ford Mustang. Outside of him will be Kyle Henshaw in a Toyota Camry in 16th.
He's making his return to the Driver Development Series. Rusty Webb in 17th in that number 88 Toyota Camry. Chad Brown, the number 64 Chevrolet Camaro, starting in 18th place. The rest of the field will scroll on through here, Finian, but we're about ready to go racing for 150 laps. Not a very short race tonight. 150 laps takes a little while to get around here. So about 25-second laps, not a super short race by any stretch of the imagination, but after last week's race at Iowa, I think drivers will be a little bit careful in the opening laps here not to make mistakes. And that number 42 of Jadrosich sitting in a great spot for the opening laps here in that number 42 Camry.
Indeed, mostly Chevys at the front of the field there, with a few Toyotas and Fords to break it up, but Jadrosich will be leading the field down to green, and we're in for a pretty good race here, 150 laps.
150 laps around the Monster Mile. They call it the self-cleaning racetrack. Coming out of turn 4, 150 miles for the 5th round of the Driver Development Series for the 3WideRacing League. Green flag flies.
Ooh,
whoa, everyone, and that's going to immediately bring out a yellow, I'm going to imagine. And no caution yet, but Mike Stevens is sitting right in the middle of the back or the front straightaway in that number 63. But side by side for the lead now, it's the 99 of Joshua Adams, and no caution. So I think, oh, there it is right there. I think it's the 63 car of Stevens, and slow getting rolling here.
Yeah,
but yeah, off to not a great start here.
Yeah, indeed. And I think this is due to, I think everyone underestimated this track. Remember, we're on concrete, not on asphalt. So a lot less grippy, and also combined with the high temperature here, you see Stevens is struggling to get the car underway. I also saw the 15 of Frankenfield. I think he had a little bit of a slap the outside wall just a little bit.
Yeah, he did get into the wall. Pretty decent contact there for the 15. You saw the 53 of Dave Hunt get some damage there on the initial start. But again, we mentioned the track temperatures here, Finian. 107 degrees, that's hot, and it's very slick around here.
Yeah, and we saw pretty much almost everyone throughout the field struggle with that. We'll take a look again. This is onboard Dave Hunt in the 53.
And you can see everyone just trying to struggle for grip. The 15 pancakes the wall, and nothing that Dave Hunt could do here. And then I saw another car towards the rear. Is that the 66 of Derbyshire, potentially? That I'm not sure if he has any front-end damage. A little bit, looks like.
Oh, it was the 88 of Webb. I think he got really loose.
I saw the 18. Was that Paul Ross? Oh, no, it's not
oh,
Paul
yeah,
Ross.
It
It's
was
the 18 of, who is that?
Brandon Key.
Brandon Key in the 18 also got some damage in that. So off to a poor start here early in the going. A lot of drivers getting contact and damage in the opening lap here at the Monster Mile. And the Monster is hungry, and he's had a snack here in the opening laps. Drivers on pit lane already.
Yeah, indeed. Everyone's 16th on bad. Frankenfield leading them down to the pits, and I'm sure this is not what he wanted early in the going.
And I really wish this, I got to figure out how to get this to start on the first page. But we'll let this scroll back over. But again, 10 points, the difference between him and Joshua Adams coming into this event. And right now, as they run, Joshua Adams would be your points leader. So that's going to switch some things around again. We'll let this page over to show you the difference again. I don't think anyone else is going to have enough time. There it is right there, 10 points. I don't think anyone else is going to have enough time to get up there and challenge them. Austin Verway's not here tonight, so that gap is going to drop even more. Jadrosich really out of range within a race. Yeah. So it's between the 99 and the 15, and so far the 15 struggling here early. And You're going to try to fix up that damage. He should be okay. Dover is aero dependent, but not as much as a speedway, so he should be all right.
Yeah, really, I think as long as you don't have any handling or engine damage, you should be fine. Bodywork you can kind of get away with.
Brandon Key in that Dawn number 18 Camaro has got some right front damage after, and again, it was they packed it up right coming to the green flag. And Finian, concrete, different surface than asphalt, a lot more abrasive. It takes temperature differently. It takes rubber differently. I think the rubber will be something that'll help drivers later in tonight's race.
Oh, indeed. Especially you'll see the track get a lot more rubbered up. You can already see a little bit there from practice carrying over, but definitely not enough, especially on the straightaway. It's pretty much completely bare concrete there. So we're going to see these guys, I imagine, be a lot more careful on this restart here compared to the start.
Yeah, I think really everyone's just trying to get so much on the initial start. They just pack that throttle right to the floorboard, and it's a lot like, I'm trying to think of another track that's like this, Atlanta, for example. I think a lot of drivers struggle with restarts there. It's only going to get worse. I think one thing that we have to make sure of is that you don't go to pit road and not take tires. You want tires every time, because that problem is only going to get worse on older tires later in the night.
Yeah, and it's pretty much like we saw, I forgot what race it was, where everyone was taking tires every few laps. It was a weird scenario, but oh no, I think it was at Iowa that we saw pretty much.
In iRacing?
Yeah.
Maybe.
As last week at Iowa, we saw people coming after even 5 laps. That made a pretty big difference. So, and Iowa's surface too is a little pretty abrasive. So yeah, we definitely we're going to see guys. Obviously not now because they only ran 1 lap, but after you run maybe 5 or 6 laps, you're probably going to want to come down if a caution were to come out.
Oh, there is a track map here. So here's a look at the track map tonight, Finian. Just over 1 mile. It's about 150 miles this race. Only configuration here at Dover, so that is going to be left blank. We have 1 to green here, but it looks so simple, but it's so not.
Yeah, I would say the track map, the 2D view from above, it never really does any tracks justice, especially how this track is really built and just configured. The way you come off the corners, it's extremely sketchy, and it was really hard to drive in the old Cup package when you had nearly 1,000 horsepower and next to no downforce.
So look at the difference here, though. If you look at the exit at turn number 2, that's about 15 to 20 feet above where we are in the middle of the corner. And drivers, I said this in the pre-race, Finian, drivers describe driving around here as takeoff and landing. And takeoff is when you exit the corner, landing is when you head down into the corner. Look at that. The difference, look at the right where that underneath that bridge on the far right, and then look down to the center of the corner. It's a 20 to 30 foot drop. And that is huge on those suspension components. You drop down, you set that weight down, and all about how that is managed by the driver is how you're quick around here.
And speaking of managing the driver, you can see these guys manage to get this restart here. I imagine everyone's going to be a lot more careful on the throttle here. Maybe even some guys starting in second gear.
I hope they're starting in second gear.
I'm sorry, third gear.
Coming back to the green flag, lap number 5. We'll try this again here, Finian. 150 laps in this race, 145 to go. Green flag flies again.
And a much calmer start there. With some drivers in the back struggling to get the power down, but nonetheless, everyone is straight and going.
Yeah, Rusty Capel was behind. That's the number 8 of Richard Lafferty that was trying to get rolling. But through turns 1 and 2, there's a little bit of a battle for third. Donovan Smith and Jamie Dobbs side by side. And now we just got to get yourself into a rhythm and figure out how the track's going to race before you start making aggressive moves.
Yeah, indeed. And again, with this track being as slick it is, I think these drivers need to try to find the limit without crossing over it as to how the car's handling there. And you can see these guys coming up the corner.
Kluser, who's in the fence out of turn 4, and he's going to stack up a couple cars behind him. And that's the 22 of Hanshaw that was down on the apron. He's got Lafferty all over his rear bumper.
Yeah, now Lafferty looking to his inside, trying to get around him. A little bit up front there, a battle for position.
Got Batista on the number 20 car to the inside of the 51 of Donovan Smith. Both these guys having a pretty good day so far. That 51 in a Camry, the 20 in a Camaro, and there is James Simmons in the 83 Johnny Thomas racing car sitting in 6th.
Here's Cogswell in the 27. He's sitting in 7th. He's got 2 cars ahead of him, so he's trying to figure out where he wants to go, whether to take the high line or the low line.
You gotta wait for this track to rubber in before you get a whole lot of lane choice. I think the bottom's gonna be the place to go. The 51 trying to get himself back in line, but can't do it. He's in the wall in the front straight. Contact side to side with those cars on the front straight.
And here you see Cogswell get ahead of Smith. He's still trying on the outside though, and yeah, you're not gonna see the outside lane come in until we're a decent amount away through the run.
David Wilson pounded the fence. And the walls here, Finney, on the corner exit, bare concrete. They hurt when you hit them.
Yeah, and it almost seems like they come out just a little bit on exit, too. So these walls close up a lot more than you think on exit.
There's Liam Sheen on the outside of the 88 car. That's Rusty Webb on the inside. And Rusty Capel behind in 14th. Now this gaggle of cars makes its way up at turn 2. The 55 getting a great run. And it didn't used to be, the outside lane didn't used to be very good. It has improved in recent years. And you can kind of roll that outside lane. Liam Sheen has a little bit of damage to that splitter. I don't think it's hurting him too much, but obviously you'd rather have a clean car early.
So far, very calm at the front of the field. Not much change there. Kevin Jaredicic still leads over Joshua Adams by half a second.
Ooh, wiggle there by Liam Sheen. Dave Hunt, the 53, got damage early in the going after running into the side of Mike Stevens in the 63, trying to recover. I think he's got that car mostly repaired.
He's got that car mostly repaired, but look at the amount of cars around him that he's going to have to try to navigate. Because remember, he's in 16. He's at a deficit right now to Adams there. A net points of about 14. So that would give the points lead to Adams heading into Talladega. So Frankenfield doesn't want this, and he needs to try to make up these spots, but he has to be careful doing so.
Out of turn 2, 2 by 2 heading into turn 3, and now we're going to see which line is going to start to fail. I think the bottom's still better. Liam Sheen slips mid-corner there and holds Dave Hunt up a little bit, but Frankenfield moves his way into 15th place, still trying to chase down Joshua Adams, who's 0.6 of a second behind leader iRacing.
Yeah, we're still, I don't think, anywhere near enough the amount of laps in this run to get that outside lane working. We still need to go a little bit once these tires wear off. You see the 83 of James Simmons trying to go to the inside of Josh Batista for 4th place.
Jamie Dobbs in the 77 having a good night so far, sitting in 3rd. Ooh, the 51 of Donovan Smith just scrapes the wall out of turn 4. We're going to see a lot of that tonight, but you have to manage how hard you pack it in the fence.
Yeah, I mean, you can get away with a few kisses here and there, but once you start getting a solid hit on the wall and you start getting damage that's really going to start affecting your car, you could end up knocking the toe into the wheel. That's when you're really facing problems, so you got to be careful with that. But they see the 83 all over. Batista just can't find a lane around. Again, that inside lane too dominant at the moment.
Yeah, one thing I always talk about when you go to Dover, Finian, patience on throttle. You have to pedal this thing all the way through the corner. It's not like a lot of tracks where you can just commit and slam that throttle to the floor. You have to be really patient. That's what Simmons is trying to do here on the inside of Batista.
Yeah, and especially off the exit too, because it's not done once you start to exit the corner. You need to be careful on the exit once you're pretty much completely straight, and then you can kind of take a little break for the next corner.
Out of the turn 4, ooh, the 20 car packs into the fence, and the 83 drops to the inside. That's big damage there for the number 20 car.
Yeah, James Simmons here, he comes down to the inside.
That's going to hurt that drivability. That right front suspension's got to be hurting. That, again, those walls on the exit are concrete. No safer barrier there. 64 of Chad Brown is already 1 lap down in 23rd. Not off to a great start.
He's right there on
that's
the shot.
That's why I was going to mention him there. Continuing to lose spots. There's a 27 car who's popping in the shot. That's Jonathan Cogswell in 6th place right now. Started in 7th, so up 1 spot for him. This battle for 4th continues to get hot, though, Finian. Batista still holding off Simmons, doing a great job being defensive.
Yeah, indeed. Again, that inside lane really working well, but if Batista keeps hitting the wall like he did in laps prior, he's going to let that 83 of Simmons get on by him. They see him tap the wall there. He lost his momentum, and here comes the 83 of Simmons to the inside in turn 1. Can he get it?
The 83 hit the apron and washes up mid-corner, but he should get a pretty good run down the back straightaway.
And you see Batista pinch him down, get that run on the exit, and barely able to clear him. Here comes Simmons with another charge.
Yeah, he dove it in there pretty deep, and he was going to clear the 20 on corner exit. Now the 20's going to try to cross him up out of turn 4. Won't be able to do it, though. That 83 up to P4.
Oh, here comes Batista with the run to the inside. He'll go do the crossover. And I think it might be not enough.
Caution.
Caution's out.
Liam Sheen in the 55, potentially?
I don't know. Actually, I think it might be. He might have had a moment going sideways.
Austin Derbyshire is running real slow on the apron as well. Didn't really see any other situation on the racetrack. Don't see any obvious driver who's slow.
Check Liam Sheen. I think it might have been him catching sideways. We saw him on the apron.
This is a lap prior, gets in the fence out of 4.
Yeah, and we'll see next time. He might have gotten loose in 3.
Was on the apron. Not having a very good time out there for sure.
Oh, up ahead. Up ahead.
Oh, it was Frankenfield getting spun out. That's what that mess was all about. It was a 64 of Chad Brown. What was going on there?
Oh, yeah.
What was going on?
Chad Brown was not happy with Frankenfield.
And we didn't see anything leading up to this here, Finian, but what is going on with these two?
I wondered if Frankenfield hit Chad Brown at some point. Maybe that got him the damage, and I think that might have been Chad Brown getting payback.
Yeah, Chad was hunting down the 15, just turns dead left, and then just clears him out in airing turn 3. He should be parked for that one.
Oh, and then Ancha getting a piece of that as well.
Wow, that dramatic moment there, and that's big for Chad Frankenfield. That car's pretty beat up.
Indeed, and we were talking about the championship picture. It's just gone from bad to worse for Frankenfield, and I can imagine that Adams has got a small grin on his face right now, knowing that Frankenfield's run into problems. But here we are under pit stops, under caution.
Everyone down on pit lane here, Finney. I think that's just the logical thing to do after about 15 laps of green flag running. And we're just waiting to see who's going to pop off first. 4 tires and fuel, the way to go every time tonight.
Yeah, indeed. And here is our race off of pit road.
And no significant changes. Batista and Dobbs trading spots. Everyone else pretty much where they came in.
And if we can, under caution, since it's kind of a decent amount of time under caution, let's see if we can try to maybe find what happened to Chad Brown.
Yeah, that's not a terrible idea here, Finian. Let's find Chad Brown. Let's go back. Yeah. We're gonna have to go back a little ways to find out what happened here. This had to be. Oh, we might have been able to find it right here. Let's take a look.
So I see Frankenfield up ahead.
He's behind, actually, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
back here.
Back, so let's see here.
It's right on board. That'd be something pretty egregious for Chad Brown to take somebody. I've never seen him really do anything like that.
It's kind of surprising to see him. I've never seen him like that.
It's off into turn 4 now.
I think it'll be in this lap. Here comes Frankenfield on the exit.
Yeah, I don't.
Oh, Captain. Ooh.
Oh, yeah, I don't know though. I don't think that was intent. Richard Hines got all wadded up there as well. That's when Frankenfield really hit, or excuse me, Chad Brown hit the fence. Stevens got involved. I don't believe we didn't see that, but I don't. That definitely wasn't intentional. I mean, Chad Brown had kind of messed up the corner leading up to that, because he just turns left there, and then.
And then Frankenfield's trying to get around him. Yeah.
I don't necessarily agree with Chad Brown's response to that, but obviously he's very frustrated. So,
Mike Stevens got
a big piece of that too.
Yeah.
So I feel bad for everybody involved in that, but I think Chad Brown's night will likely be over. And here's the 15 car returning back down pit lane and sitting in 23rd, still on the lead lap, but that car is pretty hurt.
Yeah, I think he's just worried about now just fixing that car as much as he can under these cautions here. Getting in a somewhat raceable shape here to try to chase back down the positions he's lost.
All right. Well, we will talk to Rusty Capel at some point tonight, but it's a little bit early for it, so we'll let the race play out a little bit more before we talk to him here. But there's your running order on the left-hand side of your screen. Drama here early at Dover Raceway, and we've seen tempers flare in a lot of different series, but Chad Brown was upset. I'll say that.
Oh yeah, he's definitely was upset, and it's kind of up to you to decide whether it was justified or not. They see him rolling off the pit road, but yeah, he's definitely going to be set back a lot of positions here, and is going to just be trying to make up some time. It looks like Chad Brown's still rolling
he's running,
around,
so I guess they haven't told him to pull off the racetrack. So unless it was somehow accidental, which I guess is a possibility, we don't really know what's going on inside the driver. It just looks really intentional to me, but I guess we can't be inside the driver's head, so we don't know what's going on. All right, coming to the restart will be lap number 24 of 150 here tonight. We've had 2 cautions slowing the progress, one at the start of the race and then one, or is it 2 or 3? 2. I have the data. Let's just look at it. 2 cautions for 7 laps. The second one being just a couple laps ago involving the 64 and the 15. Got it all cleaned up here. We'll try again, lap number 24 for the restart.
And everyone lined up here. We still got all 23 of the cars that we started with running around the track, although some with a lot more damage than others, and all of them also on the lead lap, so we'll see how this goes now, with Frankenfield starting all the way at the tail end of the field.
Coming back to the green flag, the 42 of Jadrsic is the control car on the inside. There it is, green flag back in the air, lap number 24. And a great restart for Jadrsic as well.
Yeah, you can see a lot of people still trying to get up to speed in a calm manner here as they head off into turn 1.
Kyle Hanshaw looked to the inside of Ross and Derbyshire in the 66. Couldn't really do much with it. There's the 27 of Jonathan Cogswell in the middle of a fight. Up front, though, battle for 4th. Actually, make that 3rd. It's James Simmons and Josh Batista.
Yeah, Batista now to the inside of Simmons as they head off into 4.
For the lead, though, Jadrsic under attack from Joshua Adams out of turn 4 at the line. Adams has it by 66 thousandths of a second. Battle for the lead, and Adams has it.
Oh, he went high, clearing that opened the door, but Jadrsic is not going to be able to get there in time. And here comes James Simmons in the 83 now, knocking on the door for second place.
Jadrsic goes and blocks. He's coming down to pit lane here, Finian. Not sure. Maybe a penalty assist?
I think a penalty, yeah. I don't know what for, but...
I'm not going to call that because I'm not sure about that, but to the pit lane he comes. And Kevin Jadrsic will report down to the inside, and will come down pit lane. Very slow pit road here at Dover.
Still not sure why. I mean, it seems like a penalty.
Yeah, no report from race control on that.
So we'll just kind of ponder on that. But meanwhile, here comes the 77 of Jamie Dobbs to the inside of Donovan Smith. That's a fight for 4th position, and 77 will get that.
Big gaggle of cars out of turn 4. That's Corey Lindsay right behind Brandon Kluster, who's there. Both the Mobile 1 cars heading off into turn 1. There's Rusty Capel, our in-race reporter, sitting in 11th right now.
Yeah, having a solid day in 11th, pretty much midfield.
Keeping defenders on it so far, that's all you can ask. Derbyshire and Chad Frankenfield, and Frankenfield still has pace in that car, even though that thing's pretty beat up towards the rear, but that car is relatively fixed up after all that damage he's taken care of.
Yeah, oh, get very close to the wall here. We can see that he is definitely pushing in that 15 car, trying to make up some spots here. You see the inside of Wade Lear in the 11.
Potentially could have been changing lanes, Finian. Let's go back and take a look. I'm kind of curious about this here.
I don't recall him changing lanes, but I mean, might have.
He was all by himself coming to the restart. Oh, it was.
Oh, yeah.
So here's a look. And again, you cannot change lanes before that start-finish line, and he's been called on this before.
Yeah.
And right here, he's already in the outside lane, so that's what the penalty was for.
Oh,
Janderstech had to do a pass-through, and that's going to hurt him big time.
Yeah, if I remember, it happened to him at Richmond, and that cost him the race there, so tough break for the 42. But yeah, this is the second time this season, and it's pretty much cost him wins both times. But here now comes on the back bumper of Josh Adams, James Simmons in the 83.
Yeah, Simmons is the quickest car on the track right now, and hauling that 99 in and out of turn 2. Their nose to tail, and the 83 is going to take a look.
I kind of wonder how... Oh, yeah, and I was going to say, I was curious of how Adams is going to approach this, because, again, all he needs is just the lead and the points, and right now he's got it with Frankenfield stuck back in 15, so it looks like he's just going to let the 83 on by and just maintain his second position.
Josh Batista up to 3rd. He's got Jamie Dobbs and Donovan Smith behind him, but another gaggle of cars around Corey Lindsay, Kluster, who's Capel, and Dave Hunt, and others right behind him. And there, just in the background of that shot, is Chad Frankenfield up to 14th. If he can get up here, he can probably get himself back inside the top 10 and keep himself within striking distance of the 99.
Yeah, indeed. He needs to get at least in the top 10 to try to maintain his points lead. And again, it's not including any bonus points that Adams got for leading on lap 2, so you got to take that into account as well.
Lazarus and Rusty Capel battling for 10th place at the moment. Up front, Joshua Adams has settled in behind James Simmons, so it's Simmons, Adams, Batista, Dobbs, and Smith, your top 5.
Yeah, and it's still a little bit early for this, but these guys do get points at halfway for the top 10. So if Adams finishes where he is right now, and looking at where they is, so Adams will be in 2nd, Frankie will be in 14th, so Frankie will get none. That'll be 9 points just for where Adams is running at halfway at around lap 75. So again, really looking in Adams' favor here, and Frankenfield knows that, and I think you can see that he's definitely trying to make up as many spots as possible.
Yeah, he's absolutely sending it in. He's up to 13th now and looking for 12th on the back end of the 53 of Dave Hunt. Capel and Kluster, who's have traded spots. But it looks like that 15 car is on a mission right now.
Yeah, and I think really for him this race, it's just turned into minimizing the amount of damage he has to his points lead here, just trying to get as many points as possible in the amount of time he has remaining.
Up front, nothing's changed. Simmons now up to a half a second lead over Joshua Adams, so that is where it was where we left it, just a little bit bigger gap between the two. And here comes Frankenfield looking to the inside of Kluster, who's for 11th place, and he'll get that spot away easily. And Kluster goes way up the racetrack. He's been pretty conservative tonight, giving people space. And behind, Rusty Webb and Kyle Hanshaw fighting for 14th.
Yeah, most of the field somewhat sorted out. Relatively close battles here, especially with Frankenfield climbing up through the field. Here's Kyle Hanshaw, we saw get involved in that last incident, was got some damage getting into, I believe, Frankenfield or Chad Brown, one of those two guys on that caution.
Off into turn 1, that 88 of Rusty Webb took a look to the inside of Dave Hunt. Couldn't quite get the nose in there. We'll have to try again, but this group pretty tightly packed together on the back straight.
Yeah, there you see Hunt defending his position from Webb. Defending that inside lane again, very key here on this early part of the run.
Maybe a bumper here from the 88. A little bit of a tap there, sends the 53 up the racetrack, but looks like Webb's not quite close enough to make that work.
You gotta be very careful with the bumper here. It's so easy. Just one little tap on the exit, especially with the car coming over a hill. It can really upset the cars. You gotta be very careful on how you bump people.
Ooh, Derbyshire sliding out of turn 2 in the 66 car, who's currently in 16th. Simmons up to a 1.2 second lead right now, just checking out up front. There's the 18 and Brandon Key getting a little bit sideways out of turn 4. Great battle for 12th place right now, though.
Also a battle heating up for 7th place with Richard Lafferty leading over the 27 of Jonathan Cogswell and the 00 of Corey Lindsay in 9th.
Yeah, Lindsay's been slowly creeping his way forward in this race. Been trying to keep himself out of trouble and has done that. Not a scratch on that car just yet. The 27 getting a little bit sideways out of turn 4. Battle back again for the 12th spot. Make it 13th. Now here comes Rusty Webb to the inside of Dave Hunt. I think he'll clear him this time.
Yeah, he looks like he's able to get ahead, and here comes Kyle Hanshaw to the inside of the 53.
53 will hold on to that for now.
Yeah, it's not enough of a run on the exit, and that's really where the outside line excels, especially in the later part of the run. There you see Derbyshire all the way up there, just trying to find some speed in his damaged car.
That battle for 7th continuing to get hot here. Now the 27 all over the rear bumper of the 8 car of Lafferty and gets a nose on the inside through the middle of 1 and 2.
Got the
Tight
run.
Space there, almost door-to-door contact out of turn 2.
Pretty much was door-to-door contact, but the 27 is still there, and if he can send it in the corner there, he's going to clear. Here comes Corey Lindsay now to the inside of
Lindsay
Lafferty.
being opportunistic to the inside of Lafferty. I don't know if he'll be able to get him. That 8 car's going to have a good run down the front straight, but the 8 car's in the fence, and that's going to give the spot to Corey Lindsay.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of drivers lose just so much momentum, and here's Klusterhuis, and I think he might have been slow off the corner.
Yeah, that was a poor line to take into turn 1. I don't think he was down there on his own terms.
And here comes Hanshaw to his outside now, and Derbyshire loose on the corner.
Klusterhuis sideways on the back straight. Catches it, though. Great save.
Yeah, I was trying to onboard with it. That was a deadly spin there.
Whoa, man, that is so scary.
Let's take another onboard with take a look at his hands driving on.
I don't know if we're going to really see the hands in the camera angles we have on these cars, but we'll take a look. I didn't see the out of the corner there. He was wiggling around, though, trying to save that, but Klusterhuis back to 17th. 7th place, Corey Lindsay beginning to track down the 27 of Cogswell. And look just behind this, Vinny, and look at the 15 of Frankenfield. This is impressive.
Yeah, indeed. Great recovery for him. He's in a point-paying position at halfway, so I think that's going to be the key here. And still not done. He's got the 8 of Lafferty, who we just saw get into the wall, and now Frankenfield's on him.
Through turns 3 and 4, working our way towards lap 50, the 1/3 mark of this race. We've had 2 cautions. Slower progress so far for 7 laps, one on the opening lap, and then one again later towards lap number 20 with the 64 and 15 getting into a little bit of a spat. It looks like they've since sorted it out, but Chad Frankenfield all over Lafferty gives him a boot out of turn 2.
Yeah, you can see the desperation out of his driving, just trying to make up as many spots as possible before lap 75, because that's when the points are going to be awarded. There you see Frankenfield now up into 9th place, and he's got Corey Lindsay and Cogswell up ahead.
Oh, the 8 car's going to get turned, and Lafferty spins on the front straight.
That was Capel
involved.
No caution.
No caution yet, but I think that 09 car is going to come to a rest on the inside of the front straight.
And looks like he's going to be able to get going again, and no caution out.
Yeah, and that's going to really hurt Capel. Well, let's go back and take a look. I think they just kind of got together out of turn 4, and not a whole lot you could do here.
Yeah, and that's just kind of the way the line works, especially if you gas it up mid-corner, and you can see that. Yeah,
well, that's a tricky one.
Yeah. I think Cable gassed it up, but didn't expect Lafferty to back off as much as he did on the exit. Just collected him in the line.
Yeah, I think the 8 car probably had another half a lane to go up, but you really can't expect somebody to use that much racetrack. So just 2 cars going for the same spot. Here's a battle for 12th right now, Hanshaw and Derbyshire. And both these cars a little bit beat up. Ooh, behind him, though, big fight. That's the 18 of Brandon Key in the middle of it. Klusterhuis trying to recover from his slip-up earlier, and Richard Hines just up the road.
Ooh,
slide off of turn 4 for the 18.
Yeah, Key loose off of 4. He's going to keep Klusterhuis at bay, but I imagine that 94 wants to try to get around him as much as possible. You can see a lot of guys doing a late high apex into the corner, kind of diamonding the corner, running high and then cutting down low.
And Sean Derbyshire. Oh, Derbyshire slides up the racetrack. Richard Hines sees that, smells blood in the water. He's going to try to get that car up in there, take that 13th spot away. Up front, no change. Simmons still leading by 2.1 seconds over Adams, so we're going to continue to watch this battle for 12th.
Indeed, this battle for 12th with Kyle Hanshaw leading over Austin Derbyshire, and Derbyshire doing a great job with that damaged car, just kind of nursing it up through the field.
We have a battle beginning to shape up for 2nd place. Batista's a little bit quicker than Joshua Adams, who's 2nd place right now. So that 20 car was very quick earlier in the season, had a great run going at Richmond before things kind of went south later in the going. So that 20 car, a good driver, a good car, sitting in 3rd, looking for 2nd on the 99.
And indeed, here comes Batista now looking to the inside of Adams. Just can't get the run that Adams has off the corner. A little loose on that 20 as well.
And as we start working our way through the run here, Finney. We've gone 29 laps since the last pit stop for these guys. That's a while on these tires. So I think people are going to start losing the handle on these cars. We might see some more slip-ups. And the 20 car looking at the inside of the 99 of Adams. Adams is up the racetrack. I think he's not comfortable right now, searching for grip and trying different lines with the rubber.
Whoa, and Steven's
sliding.
Yes, sliding off before, and he's been really struggling ever since he got damage to that car. You can see how torn up that right side has been.
Batista takes second place away from Adams, move 20 to P2.
Yeah, and I think to respond to your comment on Adams, I think he's just kind of playing it safe at the moment. I think he knows that he's running really well. He's got no damage to the car, and he wants to keep it that way, at least for this beginning part of the run. I think he just wants to make sure that he's still running at the end of the race. Just maybe keep these guys within his view, but not pushing beyond the limit that he knows that he can't pass.
12th place still in hot contention here, and Richard Hines all over the 66 of Austin Derbyshire. That's the Motorcraft Ford. Sitting in 14th place right now, looking for 13th on the 66.
Yeah, this battle's going to spice up between these guys for 12th place.
Look at the rear end of the... Ooh, wow, look at this. Dogfighting out of turn 2, but the rear end of the two cars all torn up. He's been run into hard. But good thing you don't make the downforce with the rear face panel, otherwise he'd be in trouble. Derbyshire in the fence out of 4. Hold on to it for now.
Here he is looking high, just trying to find some speed, and that's a really good lane to try to run now, especially with these tires wearing off. Just running high, cutting down low to get the maximum run off the corner. It could really help you set up a pass. And here we see I've seen Derbyshire do it quite a lot, and here he is trying to set up a pass now for the 22 of Hanshaw.
All right, well, we're a little bit of ways from green flag pit stops. We're probably closing in relatively soon, but pit road here, Finian, very difficult to get down to at this racetrack. Wade Lear actually just pulled in, so we'll keep an eye on this because the pit road entry here is very difficult to get to, and I think we'll see a lot of drivers mess that up.
Yeah, and actually let's right on board with the 83 Simmons as he's going to come around the track. And we'll just see how hard it is to get down on pit road.
Actually, we'll pull this away for a moment so you can see. Look how far away the entrance to pit road is, and you have to get down to 35 miles an hour down there.
You gotta get the car pulled down on the apron. You gotta make sure you don't spin on the transition from the banking to the apron, and get the car slow down in time. It's a tall order here, and you gotta be careful. You definitely need to have practice to this before at least know what you're doing somewhat, because it could be a very sketchy entry.
Rusty Capel has gone a lap down after his incident about 10 laps ago, sitting in 18th place right now. Derbyshire loose on the front straight, packs it in the fence. That car going to be damaged on the right front and left front now.
Yeah, tough break for him. He was able to run pretty well with the amount of damage he had, but that's just going to add on to his list of problems. You see Batista sliding off the corner with Adams still behind him at bay.
We're seeing a lot of drivers really struggling with rear-end grip coming out of turns 2 and 4. And the longer we go, I don't know if do you want to be the first one to pit road? I mean, with the threat of a caution being so imminent, I don't know if you want to be that guy.
No, I think definitely in this type of track with these kind of cars, I think you definitely want to stay out there as long as you can.
Caution, there it is right there. Brandon Key potentially in the 18, I think it was. And yeah, it looks like it's the 18 car. So that just answers all our questions there. And it was on the rear bumper of Richard Lafferty in the 8, coming out of turn 4. And just gets way tight into the fence, bounces off, and a hard impact to the inside safer barrier on the front straight. So Brandon Key out here early. All right, Vinny, that answers our questions about pit stops, but coming down, 4 tires and fuel, I got to imagine.
Yeah, I think pretty much textbook stop here. You're an absolute madman if you want to go on 2 tires. I would say maybe if it was like late run to the end, you might want to take 2 just to gain that track position. But there you see the 83 pull up into the pits and everyone out behind them.
Curious about this group back here with Kyle Hanshaw, Richard Hines, and Austin Derbyshire. These guys were dogfighting earlier. The question becomes, any pit strategy you can play back here, or you just got to take 4 tires?
Yeah, just take 4 tires. I think if you take 2 and you put yourself up there in the field, you're just going to get turned around. So I think pretty much you wanted to go 4 tires, especially because these guys have shown that they're going to be taking quite a few green flag runs, at least until the tires start to wear out. So you're going to want to manage yourself for the long haul. I just don't think 2 tires is going to help you get there.
All right, well, let's see if any position swaps are made on pit road here. The front runner is doing quite well. Look, the 99's in his pit box pretty sideways there. It has to back up, and that's going to hurt him big time in the pit road area here.
Yeah, tough break for him. That's going to lose him a few spots down the pecking order, and there you see 83 get underway there.
Batista is going to get a spot on pit lane here. He'll roll out as the leader. Big changes. The 83 is going to lose 4 spots.
And there you see Adams come out. He's going to come up behind Chad Frankenfield, and he's going to lose 7 spots on pit road. So a tough break for him.
Yeah, and again, that's all about that points lead we were watching. Remember, Joshua Adams came in this race 10 points behind Frankenfield, and now it's gonna that deficit was shrinking, and now it's gonna be growing again with the 15 out front. And Chad Frankenfield has not slowed his pace. He's still just as quick as he was before the damage.
Yeah, remember, halfway points awarded to these guys, 10 for first, down to 1 for 10th. Yeah, that's going to be key here, as both these guys are in the top 10.
Yeah, now it's a race to the halfway break, Finney. We're going to have about a little under 15 to go
to
that halfway.
I think Adams got a speeding penalty as well.
Oh,
he's dropping down the order.
And you just can't beat yourself here, Finney.
Yeah, this is really going to hurt him now. Fortunately for him, there aren't that many cars. We lost quite a few cars in the last run, so we're, I think, down to about 17 still running out there. So he's got at least that to help him out. But yeah, this is a tough break for him.
Well, in a championship situation, I think sometimes it's important to remember, Finian, that it's not just about beating the other driver. It's about not beating yourself. I think that's what Joshua Adams has done tonight. We've seen a lot of penalties get a lot of good drivers. Look at Kevin Jaddersic here, Finian. Has not been able to recover from his penalty. Still sitting 17th. He's going to get a wave around here, but not the way the 42 wanted his night to go.
Yeah, indeed, too. And I think he's going to get it. Yeah, I think he's going to get it by staying out there. So he's going to still. I think he's still on old tires.
Yeah, and he's our pole sitter for the night. He started in first.
Yeah, and we definitely know he has a speed, but yeah, that penalty really hurt him in this run. So tough break for him. And he's going to be out there on old tires. So this is just him trying to get himself in the lead lap, but I don't think it's going to be too long. He's going to have to come to the pits relatively soon, a lot sooner than the rest of these guys.
Let's take a look at the laps. Since
he's not in the top 15.
Dang it. He's awful close.
Just to pull it up.
Thank you for helping me out. It's going to be, so he's got 34 laps on his tires.
That's a long amount of time. And we saw these guys struggle at that point, too.
He's going to get the wave around here, so it'll put him back on the lead lap, at the tail end of the lead lap. But he is going to have to pray for a quick yellow here.
Yeah, and I don't know. I kind of doubt the odds of that, because these guys had a pretty good run last time through, and we have less cars than we had on that previous restart. Out of the 23 cars we started with, it looks like we got about 18 still running, so yeah, I think the odds of caution are kind of low, but there you see the track temp on the side there, 111 degrees. Yeah,
it's only picked up. It was 107 at the start of the night. Remember, the hotter the track gets, the slicker it gets, and we've seen it be very slippery out there, only getting worse right now. I think the only thing that's going to help is the track rubbering in, and you do see it is darker on the inside line, but those drivers experimenting with that outside groove might struggle to get their car going in the right direction.
Yeah, and definitely think, especially on the first 10-15 lap, that outside lane is just not viable at all. It only comes into the later part of the run. But nonetheless, Josh Batista is going to lead the field down, agreeing with David Wilson, who's outside.
Pace car is going to pull off. We'll try it again. Lap number 62 after 3 cautions, slowing the pace of this 3-wide driver development series. Round number 5 out of turn 4. The 20 car, Josh Batista and his Ream Chevrolet Camaro alongside David Wilson. Green flag back in the air.
Donovan Smith got really close, almost changed lanes on the start there. He would have gotten a penalty, but here they go to the 83 of James Simmons to the inside. Yeah,
Simmons lost a bunch of spots on pit lane. He's going to be really hungry to get his track position back sideways out of turn 2. Klusterhuis all sorts of out of shape. 3 wide at the end of the back straight. Rusty Capable in the middle. He'll back out, save himself the trouble. The 99 trying to make his way back through.
Yeah, you can see him trying to drive through those traffic as we go on board with him all before, and he's just hauling right now, trying to make up these spots. Here he comes to the inside of Richard Hines.
There's a big gaggle up towards the front. Jamie Dobbs. Dave Hunt in the back slipping a couple spots, but now there's a look at this gaggle out of turn 2 here, Finian.
Yeah, and you can see Adams there. He's gotten past all these guys, and Hunt really slow off the pace.
Hunt has an issue, I think.
Oh, I think he needs to come down to the pit road. Potential penalty. Oh, and 51. Smith did get pegged for
Donovan Smith's penalty for him, as well as the 53 also getting something as well, probably a penalty there as well. James Simmons back to 3rd, battle for 4th. Jamie Dobbs, Chad Frankenfield. Frankenfield just trying to wrestle his way back to the front after getting taken out early. And a great rebound here, even if he gets this just this high and doesn't go any further.
I mean, yeah, fantastic recovery for him up into 4th place, and is still going to try to climb forward. I think that car really still has quite a bit of pace in him, and he fixed that car up pretty well, all things considered.
Josh Batista down to pit lane here, Finian. Did he get pegged as well?
Oh, he might have. I think he might have. I don't remember seeing it on the start. I remember seeing Smith get really close to it. But tough break for 3 drivers. 3 penalties on the last 3 starts.
Yeah. down the back straightaway again. There's Kyle Hanshaw up to 9th, and then number 22.
And I like Joshua Adams already up into 8th place, so he's doing a great job recovering from that. There you can see up ahead, just 5 cars up the road, there is Chad Frankenfield. So nonetheless, he'll be within striking range of the
Look at all those cars coming off the pit lane. All those penalties getting served there. That's not how you want to get your race kind of handed to you at the halfway break here. Up for the lead, though, Finian. Look who's going for the lead. James Simmons to the inside of David Wilson.
Yeah, Wilson to his outside. I don't know if Wilson will be able to hold on to this James Simmons. He got a pretty good run out there. He's going to clear him and take the lead.
James Simmons back to the lead. That Johnny Thomas Racing Camaro, very, very strong tonight. David
and
Wilson
look who is appearing into the picture. Chad Frankenfield driving. Again, fantastic drive out of that 15 car. I can't just say it enough. Went from the back of the field all the way up to the front, and he's continuing to close in on the leaders.
I wish we had that cool little graphic that could show you how his night has been. It's been all over the place. There's a battle for 6th place, Jonathan Cogswell and Rusty Webb, and add Joshua Adams to the list. He's looking to the inside of Webb into turn 1.
And he needs to be in a hurry here. Again, lap 75 is going to be key. Completing lap 75 is going to be key because, again, that's where the halfway points are awarded. I think Adams knows that. He needs to at least be somewhat close to Chad Frankenfield there to just keep that deficit as small as possible.
We know Frankenfield doesn't make mistakes often, and tonight he kind of had his mistakes helped along by another driver. So
the only real mistake he made was on the initial start, and that was just a small piece of damage. But yeah, that wreck with him and Chad Brown really took him out of the order for a little bit, but was able to make a fantastic recovery up into 3rd place.
Hanshaw and Lafferty battling for 9th place right now in the back straight. Ooh, Kluser, who's hard into turn 3, made contact with the rear bumper of the 22. A little bit of pushing and shoving back here.
Yeah, and that's loud. Now Rusty Cable to the outside. He's going to go up the hill into the wall.
Fence, and he's going to crash on the front straightaway, hard into the wall just like before.
Yeah, that was a mirror image of what he did before. He's going to park it down there and try to get the car back going.
Yeah, this is a mirror image of what happened to him before. He just recovered from that. And looks like he's going to try to pull off the racetrack to not throw a caution out. Meanwhile, battle for 2nd. Change for position, Frankenfield to 2nd place.
Yeah, solid job. He's up into 2nd. Joshua Adams up into 6th place, and now on the back bumper, Corey Lindsay. And really just a lot of speed out of that 99 car right now.
One of the quickest cars on the racetrack, actually was the quickest car on the racetrack last time by, if you don't count the leader, James Simmons. That 99 car on a mission to the inside of Lindsay for 5th.
Yeah, and here comes in Lindsay, not making it easy for him as well. But now there he's letting up just a little bit, and Adams has got to power it out on exit.
Close quarters at the exit of turn 4, door to door, but the 99 is going to get this position, move the 99 back to 5th after being forced to the rear after speeding on pit lane. So the 99, great recovery in such a short amount of time. Rusty Capel into pit lane here, Finney, and that's not a good night for him.
Yeah, I think he might be trying to fix some damage here for that car, and yeah, just try to get going again. But here's Corey Lindsay now in 6th place, trying to hold off Jonathan Cogswell and Rusty Webb, who gets into the wall.
Yeah, he rubbed some paint off the right side of that car. Out up front, though, it's all James Simmons in the Johnny Thomas Racing Camaro. That number 83 lost a couple of spots on pit lane, but has been unstoppable since the restart. Frankenfield, though, is actually still losing time to the 83, but behind, I still keeping an eye on that 99 car, who's still running lap times good enough for 2nd.
Yeah, and here we go. As we come to lap 74, we're going to be 2 laps away from halfway. And Adams sits in 5th, so all things considered, he'll lose 3 points to, or 3 or 4 points to Frankenfield from the halfway points. But yeah, and it's unfortunate because Adams had Frankenfield in pretty much checkmate by that pit stop mistake, and yeah, just his mistakes on pit row put him way back further than he needed to be.
Lap number 75, we're going to award halfway points for the top 10 here in just a couple laps, and Kyle Hanshaw is the last one sitting in points-paying position for those halfway points in that number 22 car.
And as they come across the stripe next time by, it's going to award them the points. And yeah, Hanshaw is struggling tonight with the damage to his car. And there's Austin Derbyshire down off the road. But nonetheless, here comes Jamie Simmons.
Frankenfield, Wilson, Dobbs, Adams, your top 5. Then Corey Lindsay, Cogswell, Webb, Lafferty, and Hanshaw, the rest of your top 10. They're all going to get halfway break points. Halfway points. I don't really have a break. But.
Yeah, but yeah, and Adams will come in 5th as opposed to Frankenfield in 2nd. So the gap in the points is now expanded to just a little bit more between those two drivers.
Gap continuing to grow for Simmons between him and Frankenfield up to 2 seconds now. And Adams has slowed his pace just a little bit, but he is catching Jamie Dobbs in the 77, so maybe a little bit of aero influence off the leading car. Again, kind of a single-lane racetrack for the most part around here, and following another car, you have a lot of dirty air from the rear spoiler of the leading car. That means it's a little tricky to pass sometimes. And right to the rear bumper of Dobbs, he's looking for fourth now.
Yeah, really hungry for it too, and again has the pace to do it. He's just got to make sure he doesn't burn up his stuff too early here, because we've seen some really aggressive driving out of the 99, making up these spots. But and you got to wonder how much has he used up his tires compared to the drivers around him.
Conservation, patience, all things that you think about when you come to Dover, but the Monster Mile will like to eat you up, and so far it's eaten a couple race cars. We're missing quite a few. Rusty Capel's night is over in the 09 car, and the 99 of Williams up to... 99 of Adams up to fourth. Excuse me about that. I'm thinking about Formula One, I think, right now.
Well, Josh Adams definitely not driving a Williams, because he's up in the
looks like he's... Well, yeah. Looks like he's driving an old Williams, so that's going to be good. Oh. Shots fired. Yeah. Battle for 8th place, Rusty Webb and Richard Lafferty here. Everyone getting spread out here, Finney. Now it's just ticking off the laps. We're just kind of getting laps under our belt here, focusing on maybe that last green flag run. How about Richard Hines in the 2 car? In 11th place right now, and that 53 car, Dave Hunt, is 2 laps down. His night has gone south since about the 3rd mark of the race.
Yeah, and I think really that pit stop penalty from a lot of these guys really put them down the order, the 20, the 51, and the 53, all getting pass-throughs for changing lanes, I imagine, on the restart.
Lafferty all over Rusty Webb for 8th place to the inside down into turn 1, looking to make a move.
Yeah, this is a battle for 8th place. Rusty Webb defending.
Chevrolet is dominating the top 5 here, just the lone Ford of Frankenfield. And I can tell you from prior to the race tonight, the field split's pretty even here, so the Chevrolet's having a good night. Everyone else struggling a little bit. These guys still dogfighting here.
Yeah, Lafferty's going to have a fender here to the inside. He's going to chuck it up. Webb on the outside. We'll see how this kind of plays out.
And slip up. I think the 88's going to give that spot away. Lafferty up to 8th place now. Battle for 3rd, and Joshua Adams has taken it away from Wilson. Is going to set his sights on the leaders now, just about a second up the road.
Yeah, you got Chad Frankenfield up the road, and based on their lap times, actually they ran almost equal the last time through. But I think Adams seems to have overall quicker pace in the 15.
Let's just see what the lap times are this time through. And you're going to listen to his throttle being very patient here to get back on. All right, this time through, the leader Simmons ran a 25.440. Chad Frankenfield ran a 25.532. And Joshua Adams a 25.490. So Adams is the 2nd quickest car on the track at the moment.
Yeah, they're starting to close in a little bit more on Frankenfield. I'm only going to get more and more as it gets closer. So I think Frankenfield might end up having to, well, I say let him on by, but I think he might get passed by the 99 Adams.
So here's the thing, though, is Frankenfield get really loose out of turn 4. Joshua Adams kind of needed Frankenfield to get stuck down the pegging order there, because what's going to end up happening is next week, I believe it's our final round next week, is it not?
Yeah.
So next week is our finale for this series, and remember, Joshua Adams walked into this race 10 points behind Frankenfield in the point standings. So Adams needed to beat Frankenfield today if he wanted to be on par with him heading into next week. Otherwise, he's going to have to do a lot better than him in the finale, which we know how hard it is to beat Frankenfield. I don't think you can bank on that walking into a season finale with as good as Frankenfield is. About 28 laps on the tires here, Finney, and starting to think about green flag pit stops here. Maybe try to stretch it a little bit farther. They're going to have to come back one more time, I think, even after. So.
Yeah, it's I think way too long. I think these guys definitely have to come down at least one more time. And look at Jadricic out there in 13th, 62 laps on his tires. You can see he's really slow off the pace, just trying to nurse his car home. I think he's just hoping for a caution come out at this point. That way he can get the free pass.
Sitting in the free pass position right now in 13th, and decent recovery. That car is not damaged too much. Again, started on pole. The reason why he's back here is because of a penalty changing lanes before getting to the restart line on the restart. So that's why he's back here.
Yeah, and looking at the lap time that these guys are putting down in comparison to him, he's a half a second off pace, and you see Frankenfield catching up significantly towards him. So yeah, just trying to hang out here, hope for a caution to come out that can help him get back into the lead lap, and then he can go do something from there. But yeah, just kind of struggling at the moment.
Last time by, Joshua Adams was the quickest car on the racetrack by about a couple hundredths of a second. That 99 iBuyPower Camaro coming forward, closing in on Frankenfield for 2nd place. All right, I think it's about time for a Sim TV sound surge. We'll be right back with you. Welcome back live, and after that sound surge, and Joshua Adams looking for second on Frankenfield. He's going to have the line down into turn 1. Battle for second place. It's the 2 points leaders, Adams and Frankenfield, door to door through turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, and here in Frankenfield not letting up easily. He's going to get a big run off the corner here. Adams still to the inside, though, and giving him a fight. And I think Adams, to make this patch, he's going to have to do it on the outside of Frankenfield.
Or use the bumper here. Maybe too early to do that, but he might give it a try here down into turn number 1, right on the rear bumper of the 15. Corey Lindsay, I believe, has lost connection here, and he continues to drop down the order.
Oh yeah, it'll be very unfortunate for Corey Lindsay, who, if you don't know, is the organizer for 3Wide, and is the boss man. So it's unfortunate that he's gonna, I think, lag out of the race. He hopefully can join back, but yeah, tough break for him. He's having a pretty good night.
Look at these guys fighting so hard, both sliding off at turn 4, just taking off and landing down in the corners. Adams is still quicker than Frankenfield, but now he's got to deal with that aerodynamic push that he's getting from the rear bumper of the 15. But a great battle for second, but James Simmons continues to drive away 4.2 seconds up the road from these two.
Yeah, indeed he is. Now these guys go up the track, and now Adams looking to the outside a little bit on corner exit. But yeah, Frankenfield's not making this easy for him, kind of taking the options away from the 99, forcing him to look down the inside.
The rear bumper, a touch? No, not quite, but it got really close there.
Yeah, I think he's trying to set himself up on the outside, just couldn't get it done.
These two are all over each other right now. Less than 1/10 of a second separating them. What a great battle. If it comes down to next week, it probably will, the way these guys are running. It's going to be Joshua Adams likely having to beat Frankenfield next week to have a chance at the championship, but these guys both have won a pair of races each, and I think you're going to have to win a few more races if you want to beat that 15 car. So the 99, if he doesn't have to win today, he's definitely going to have to win next week.
Yeah, indeed he is, and here he is still trying to find some way around Frankenfield. I think if he can at least finish in front of him tonight, that's some sort of victory, but again, still gonna would potentially lose a net amount of points to Frankenfield overall.
Quickly gonna check in with what happened to Kluser, who's he's down on pit lane. Okay, I just want to make sure that he wasn't on the racetrack, but continuing the battle for second. These guys not giving up caution on the racetrack, and who is it this time? Jadricic crashed on the front straight.
And Jadricic, he needed the caution, but unfortunately he's gonna be the caution.
That is big damage to the nose of that number 42 car.
And I'm actually kind of surprised because from the looks of it, looks like he came down pit road, but still found some trouble here.
And what happened to lead to this? He's on the inside of the 53. Is he just like... Oh, the 53 gets loosened. Oh, that's such bad luck.
Tough break for Jadricic.
Yeah, Dave Hunt gets loose out of the corner and just side swipes the 42 and sends him hard into the safer barrier on the front straight. Not much Kevin Jadricic could do there.
Yeah, he was just pretty much a victim, and just, again, tough break, and his night just going from bad as it was already to worse. Here you see again.
And nothing you can do to react to that. And just bad luck continues for Jadricic. He's had the pace to be the points leader, Finian, but has not been able to finish these races out, and is the cause of our 4th caution here tonight. All right, well, that takes the advantage away from James Simmons, who was our leader. Frankenfield and Adams will pit from second and third, and now the race on pit road begins. It should be the money stop here, Finney. They could probably go to the end from here.
Yeah, definitely. I think they definitely should be able to go to the end from here. Sajiericic, he had 62 laps on his tires, and he still was out there running around. So these guys might not like to go 50 laps on a set of tires, but they're probably going to have to. They want to have a shot at making it to the end here on the lead lap. But here's the race off pit road now. You see
Frankenfield gets a great run off of pit lane, and looks like no changes for the top 6. Hines and Webb up a couple spots.
Adams sliding out of his pit stall there to get ahead of David Wilson.
And looks like he'll do that, and he's going to be in a great spot here, Finney, because where is he going to be? On the inside row, right behind leader James Simmons, as long as that's where Simmons chooses, which I would think you'd want the inside here for a restart. So Adams is looking to be in a great spot to get around that 15 car. Checking with Kyle Hanshaw. Has he gotten that car more fit? It's not great looking. It looks a little better than it did before.
Yeah,
but
I would imagine he might come down again, maybe trying to fix that damage.
I don't know if he can fix anymore. I would think he would have taken some.
Or not, I guess.
There's only one other car on the lead lap behind him, so it would make sense that if he had damage, he'd come down and fix it. Corey Lindsay back out on the racetrack, 4 laps down after losing connection to the server, so internet claiming Corey Lindsay's night.
Yeah, we're down to 16 cars, a high attrition rate here tonight after all that's happened. So 16 cars in the race, only 11 of them currently on the lead lap.
Donovan Smith coming back down to pit lane, and he is now 1 lap down.
Yeah, and Josh Batista, notably, I think he got the free pass, because remember, he was one of those guys that had to come down after the restart to serve a penalty, so he's back on the lead lap in 11th.
50 laps to go here at the Monster Mile. James Simmons led the majority of the laps tonight. Chad Frankenfield sitting in 2nd place right now. Joshua Adams 3rd, Wilson 4th, Dobbs 5th. It's been a good race so far. We've had 4 cautions slowing the progress, and one of them early for slippery conditions on the racetrack. Taking a look at the conditions here, Finney has dropped down back to 107. I think the rubber is helping the handling a little bit. You see how dark the track is now on that inside lane. Definitely handling better than it did. And you see how wide it is now. That groove much more spread out over the course of the width of the racetrack.
Yeah, indeed. As we had a pretty long run last time through that higher lane's gotten rubbered in, so you could use it a little bit more here a little bit early on. So we'll see how that plays out, especially these guys are going to want to use that outside line here towards the end of the run, because we're going to potentially be going a long way. And it looks like Kevin Jadicic has retired here.
Such a shame.
Yeah, so bad night got to worse for him. He's going to call it a day here, and we're down to 15 cars on the track. Again,
Jadicic has been so fast every week and just hasn't been able to stitch the races together. I mean, he's gotten penalties. Remember Richmond? He ended up getting spun out too. I mean, it just has not been his series and his season. He's been so fast, but sometimes you need to be better than or more than fast. And sometimes that involves not getting yourself taken out and not beating yourself on pit lane or on restarts, which is what has happened lately to the 42.
Yep, well, as I was saying earlier, Miles Monster, he's been fed quite a bit of food. 8 cars retired here tonight, down to 15 cars, and again, only 11 of them on the lead lap. So high attrition rate here in this race, and kind of to be expected here. This is not called the Monster Mile for nothing.
Dover is not an easy racetrack.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult, especially with this, again, with this configuration, with these cars having now the lowest amount of downforce out of the 3 National Series. So it's very tough here, especially coming out of the corners when you don't have a lot of downforce to keep the car glued to the track.
Coming back to the restart, 48 laps to go, and it's going to be James Simmons alongside Chad Frankenfield, Joshua Adams, David Wilson, Jamie Dobbs, your top 5. Green flag back in the air, 48 laps to go.
And say James Simmons, he's got to be a little bit careful there. He's playing,
playing
with fire. He was playing with fire right there on the
Caution
start.
Immediately, and it's Dave Hunt in the 53s around again on the straightaway, backs it into the fence. So as quick as we got going, we're slowed again by another incident on the front straightaway.
Yeah, kind of surprised by this, because these guys have been getting some pretty good starts. And yeah, this is
he's been struggling with rear grip all day, and clobbers Kloosterhuis. And Batista got woed down.
Yeah, he did a fantastic job getting slowed off. We can get right on board with him. Got an excellent view of that wreck.
Actually, let's go back a little bit more here. So again, all these cars in the rear are wave-around cars. Oh, the 20 tried to get going there and probably realized that wasn't a great idea. And then the 53 gets loose. A little bit of contact, didn't really add a whole lot of damage though, but that 53 has just been out of control on these restarts, and coming out of turn 4, he's really struggling with the rear grip, but again, not an easy racetrack, not easy conditions here today either.
Yeah, Here we see pretty much everything's fine, and the car's going to offset off the corner.
Hits the bump there on exit. I think that's what upsets the car, and Klooster, who's just nothing he could do to miss that. Got that car stopped without hitting anything else. And good job on Klooster to lock up those brakes as well, because a lot of times you see drivers get looped around and they'll just let the car roll, but Klooster has locked up those brakes, got to a stop, and that's good driving there.
Yeah, otherwise you would have hit Batista there, who came to the inside. Also of note, should be Donovan Smith getting the waiver on here. And
so how did Frankenfield end up in the lead is my question.
Yeah. Oh, Simmons is dropping back. Not sure what's happening to him.
Did Simmons get penalized for this, Finney? Let's take another look. You mentioned it. It was close. It's possible that the 83 car got a penalty for changing lanes before the restart. Here's a look from above.
Saying he's playing with fire, I think, right there.
Oh, that's a ball and strike call to make. I don't know. I don't want to be the race control to make that call, but it looks like James Simmons has gotten a penalty.
Yeah, I was gonna say it looked like he went in. It looks like he went in the middle of the track. And I mean, he should be happy with this because he could have gotten a lot worse if the caution didn't come out. He'll be put to the end of the end of the line here, and that
better than a pass through.
Yeah,
I think that's what you're trying to say.
He'll be back in 12th, and on the lead lap as opposed to being a lap down. So
I'm surprised they called that though. I'm not gonna lie. Yes, it was a little. That's a gray area, I'd say. It wasn't definitely in the outside lane, but he looked like he could have been.
Yeah, to me, I would say that should have been called because he was kind of in the middle of the track, and I think these guys, they don't want to leave any gray area.
Yeah, I think
interpretation.
I think the interpretation that should be taken there is I don't think had the 15 been alongside, I don't think the 15 could have fit in that space. I think that's the point they're trying to make. However, pit stops for a lot of these guys, and the 83 is going to stay out on the racetrack.
Yeah, I think he knows. I think he's just kind of put around because he knows he has to let them back on by after the pit stops. But yeah, again, tough break for him.
Well,
could have been a lot worse.
Hands the lead back over to Frankenfield and Adams, and these guys have been really the class of the field so far this season. I really need to get this start on the page I want it to. I don't know why it does that, and it drives me up the wall. But we'll let this pan on through. Again, these are your point standings after 4 rounds of the 3WideRacing Driver Development Series.
This is before the race started here, and it's changed quite a bit for some of these guys, especially as they run.
But again, I want to bring your attention, let's see who else is, no Carlos Acosta tonight, unfortunately. Donovan Smith should gain a couple spots just because he's showed up and running 12th right now. Let's see here. That's a total of 84 points, tied for 28, but we'll let this scroll back over, and I want to bring your attention back to the points lead between Frankenfield and Adams right here. Again, before the race started, they had 10 points separating them. Right now, they're separated by 1 point in terms of their running position.
Oh, yeah. And even then, to the difference between the halfway points that they got, add 3 points to Adams' deficit here, and they've both led a lap. So, yeah, it's not looking in Adams' favor here. I think he's going to need something to happen to Frankenfield, or at least, at the very least, finish ahead of him.
Well, I know as close as that call was, Finney, I think there's going to be some people that disagree with that call.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm sure James Simmons definitely agrees with that call. I'm sure Johnny Thomas agrees with, or does not agree with that call.
Yeah, but I think you just got, as a driver, you just don't never play with the rules because you're going to get hurt by them. So you gotta just have to follow them as they are, and you really don't have much. I mean, you can complain all you want, but I mean, they're you get penalized for it. So
well, I don't think you're going to change the opinions of the race stewards on that one.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll take a look back at that post race, and we'll do another analysis of that. Maybe we'll talk to the driver number 83 and see what his opinion is on it.
And also, speaking of the officials, a shout out to Tanner Sharp and Paul Ross, who are running the show here. They're adminning for.
Well, you're going to put a bounty on them.
Well, I mean, they know that that those guys are fishing, but yeah, shout out to those guys. They've been also Zelensky too, who's also been on the admin team.
They got a target on their back now, thanks to Finian. Well, all right, coming back to the restart, we're going to have just over 40 laps to go now. Frankenfield immediately green flag. That was an early jump there. And don't change lanes, anybody. And
yeah, I'm looking at everyone.
We're okay.
Oh, nope. I think Klooster's got it.
You think?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I saw him go up.
Keep an eye on the 94. Keep an eye on the 94. We'll see if he has to drop back. Oh, a little bit of carnage out of your turn 2. Sliding contact in the wall. I think that was the 2 car of Richard Hines. Pounded the fence, and he's got some right front damage there.
Yeah, indeed. A lot of chaos there on the start.
Oh, big crash in turn 4, and Batista spun around.
Sideways, and caution is out.
Simmons is in it, and that's exactly why you don't want to be at the rear of the field. Wow. Drama there. Let's take another look. Oh, the 94 got into the 20, spun him right in front of the 83, and nothing Simmons could do to miss that. And that's why that penalty is so costly. All right, well, while we're here, Finian, we saw that's a pretty simple wreck. I do want to take this time. Let's go back and analyze that previous restart. I think that's worth doing. Just to get a better idea of exactly why he was penalized. And we'll take another look. All right, so let's look from a chopper cam here. So the 83 car was penalized for changing lanes, going to the outside row here, coming to the green flag. Moves up the racetrack.
Yeah, and if you compare it by I think where they might be comparing it, I think if we can ride on board with Frankenfield, I think that's a good driver to ride on board with. It actually might be kind of hard to tell here. From the look of it, it looks like Simmons came over just barely in front of Frankenfield.
Yeah, that's still a tight call though, Vinny. I don't know. I mean, I can definitely see why that driver and team would be very upset with that call. I won't comment on it because I feel like it's close. But again, yeah, it was awful close there, Finian. I don't know. Again, I think there's going to be quite a few people that disagree with that.
Yeah, I think part of it too might be if you attempt as well. If you attempt to merge, I think that might also be taking you there. I think they really want drivers to just make sure they stay in their lanes and don't move at all.
Yeah.
And I think that's the reasoning just to stick with that call.
Here's a look from Joshua Adams, and we'll see where Adams is in relation to the 83. It's about a half a car width. Yeah, see, from that angle, it looks worse.
Yeah.
From that angle, I mean, the overhead is probably the better angle, but from this angle, I could see why they could arrive at that conclusion.
Yeah. Because he's kind of in a mix of both lanes, so yeah. So kind of tough call. It's a tough call to make there for the admins, but back under caution again. I believe we might have had some pit stops.
Let's take a look here, actually, if we can jump up my lap since pit. Yes,
so Lafferty,
Simmons, and Hines Batista all came down, as well as Rusty Webb. Let's see if Simmons has fixed up that damage. It's not great, but it's not horrible either. Hines catching up in the field. Looks like got a couple more takers on pit lane. Kluserhoos and Corey Lindsay down here as well as Dave Hunt in the 53. All right, well, now we got a little bit of the drama out of the way. We've had an incident between Chad Brown and Chad Frankenfield, the two Chads going at it earlier in the night, and that hasn't seemed to slow Frankenfield's progress. There's a Danica Patrick joke in there somewhere. Joshua Adams sitting in second right now. Again, these two are the championship leaders, and they're both 1 and 2 on the racetrack right now.
Yeah, indeed. They've been constantly fighting here. I haven't been able to really duke it out here, so we've had a small chain of cautions here.
And the problem is that even if that call on the 83 had been reversed, it's not going to matter now because he's got damage after that incident. And that's just the product. I mean, this is what happened to Jadrsic as well. I mean, Jadrsic would have been running so much better and would not have been the position he was in to the inside of Dave Hunt had he not had that penalty way earlier in the race. So it all just compounds, and the mistakes and the calls all contribute to how the night goes. And for some people, it's gone a lot better than others. I'd say Joshua Adams, actually everyone really inside the top 5 has been up and down the order. Jamie Dobbs has had a pretty consistent day. Look at Kyle Hanshaw in 6th. That 22 car was destroyed earlier, and it still is, but he's running inside the top 10.
Yeah, solid run by him nonetheless here. Again, considering the state of that car, he could be a lot further back down the order, so looks like he's going to continue marching on forward, or at least trying to march on forward.
Donovan Smith rebounding nicely from that penalty.
Yeah,
earlier,
was able to get the wave around. Or sorry, the free pass from that last caution.
Yeah, some discussion about the penalty there, Finian. Some people saying that don't think he changed lanes, but he definitely didn't stay in his, and I think that might be an important distinction between those two situations. That maybe he didn't change lanes to the outside, but he definitely didn't stay in the inside lane. I think that's maybe where again. I don't want to be in the official position right now. I'm glad I'm just here up in near the booth analyzing it, so I won't say my opinion on it. Again, I honestly don't know what I would have said in that situation. I think it would have been interesting had the 15 car been there If the 15 card stayed alongside, I don't know if they would have ruled that penalty.
No, I don't think they can, because but you can say that they're clearly in 2 different lanes, but because he was ahead and started moving up into 1 lane, kind of moving out of his own, I think that's where the distinction was made. But nonetheless, here Frankenfield's going to lead the field down to green on the outside lane.
37 laps to go. Green flag back in the air. Frankenfield takes off.
And very spread out start from the rest of the field. There you see Adams merging up in behind Frankenfield. Wilson and Cogswell fighting for position. That's for 3rd place. Cogswell going to get a big run off the corner here.
Down the back straightaway now. There's the 22 of Hanshaw looking for 5th, maybe going for 4th now. Great rebound after a slow start to the evening with some damage.
Yeah, and how about Jamie Dobbs now also in the 77? Haven't seen a lot of his cars since the beginning.
27 drove up hard off turn 4, and here is James Simmons now coming in charging. He's got fresh tires on this 83, and I'm not sure how much they're going to make a difference. 15 laps fresher, that could be something worth something at the end of the race here. But in 7th, he has about 2.5 seconds to get up the road to get Chad Frankenfield.
Yeah, I don't know his chance about getting the lead here. I think he might be a little bit too far back for that, but definitely we'll see if he can get into the top 3.
27 hard in the fence out of turn 4, and looks like Donovan Smith also pancaked the fence. So everyone's scrambling to try to find space after a couple of guys got slow out of turn 4.
And you see the 53 Dave Hunt on the outside of the 8 of Richard Lafferty. They're fighting for position, fighting around 10th place.
And Cogswell drops back down to 8th, and the 77 of Dobbs sideways. Can he save it? I don't think so. Contact with the 51 hard into the wall in turn 4. Caution out again.
And I think he might have gotten help from the 83.
Yeah, we'll have to go back and take a look here. Was the 83 of Simmons involved in this? I don't think he was here, Finney. Let's take another look.
Here he's looking to the inside of the 77.
Oh, actually there was contact there.
Yeah.
And 77 tried to save it, almost had it woe down, and then the 51 of Donovan Smith gets clobbered in the door. And the rest of the field tries to squeeze on by, and it looks like there's Josh Batista trying to squeeze on through. Again, I don't know if this is a tricky one. I think this is 2 cars going for the same spot on the track.
Yeah, let's run on board with Donovan Smith, actually. I think he might have a good view of this from behind.
Play that angle one more time. Close quarters there, and Donovan Smith tries to get through here. He gets clobbered in the door. Big damage there. The 77 car get all 4 wheels off the ground, but let's take another look from on board the 51.
Yeah, so what I'm interested in, the 77 kind of...
I think the 77 came down the racetrack. That's how I would rule that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Simmons couldn't really do much more than that.
Oh, man, that was a huge impact.
And I think after the wreck, too, I think the 53 got a good piece of the wall after on the front straightaway.
There's that contact again. That's so borderline, though. I think the 77 did come down. You mentioned the 53 of Dave Hunt getting a piece of the fence here. Oh, he gets tagged by the spinning 77 and spins into the wall. Hard impact into the safer barrier. And damages that car more. Let's head back out up front here, Finney. And pit stop's underway, and guess who didn't pit? 83's back out in front.
Interesting choice there. So that'll give him the lead of the race. Also notably, Jonathan Cogswell, I believe, stayed out. I believe everyone else behind him stayed out at the moment. Yeah, so there you see the lead is down a pit road. There you see Frankenfield. Adam's going to come out of his stall.
Close quarters here between Hanshaw and Wilson.
I think it was Hanshaw.
Yeah, let's see. Yep, 22 cars going to get that spot.
Yeah, so I believe the top 3 here, Simmons, Cogswell, and Dobbs all stayed out.
I don't even know how Dobbs is still driving right now, to be honest. That was a huge impact, and I think now he's going to make the trip down to pit lane.
Yeah, I think so too. So he's going to make the trip down to pit road. So it's Corey Lindsay, who's a lap down car, is currently 5 laps down.
Yeah, again, after losing connection earlier in the race. Okay, James Simmons back out up front after all that drama. A little bit of damage to the nose of that car. A little bit less fresh tires than those who just pitted behind him, but he's only have to hold him off for 30 laps. Do you think he can do it?
I think he can. I think he might be able. I think he might be able to do it because again, we haven't gotten that many green flag laps under our belts here in the last few laps.
Let me read off this stat here. He has the best lap in the race by over 0.2 of a second over the next quickest guy.
Yeah, and I think he has the speed. Just hasn't been able to be in a position to use that speed to his advantage. But here he's going to be in clean air. Also, should note too, Brandon Kluster, who's in the 94, he got the free pass from that caution, so he's going to be put back on the lead lap.
Dover has not been kind to the 3-wide driver development field here tonight.
Oh yeah, pretty good start of the race. A few cautions here towards the end as the Anticipation's gone up. Wow, big drop in temperature there, down below 100 degrees, now down to 97. I think this is with the with the sun starting to set.
Yeah, so the sun beginning to drop down below the horizon here in just a couple hours, but 97 degrees. We started the night at 107, got as high as 111. So the track is gripping up, maybe increasing the aggression level out there a little bit as the track is rubbering up, it's gripping up, and you see how dark those corners are. And it'd be really interesting to see if we could compare that with earlier in the night. Maybe we'll do that at the end of the stream here and show you the difference in the rubber between lap 1 and lap 150. Well, the quickest car of the night is back out up front, but he's going to have to hold off two very quick cars in the form of Chad Frankenfield and Joshua Adams. We'll see if he can do it here. We're going to have 29 laps to go when we get the green flag.
Yeah, indeed. And also notably, too, the two cars up in front, they've stayed out on the lean lap. Sorry, they stayed out not pitting under the last caution. Actually, we can pull up that the lap since pit graphic real quick there. I was going to say, yeah, Cogswell's been out a lot longer than Simmons on these tires, so he's going to be a lot slower in that outside lane, and that's going to leave Adams kind of stuck in behind him, going to try to find a way around.
Yeah, not going to be a great position for Adams to be in on the restart. I think the only advantage the outside gives you is the ability to kind of move around. If you can get to the outside of the 27, you've got a lot of racetrack to play with, but again, the inside lane seems to be the place to be tonight. Drama and calls by the officials and crashes and bumping and banging and rivalries have had it all tonight here at the Monster Mile, and
we're still not over.
Yeah, Miles is not yet fulfilled. Gonna go for another cookie in the cookie jar here in the closing laps of this one. 29 laps to go. James Simmons in the 83, Johnny Thomas Racing Camaro out up front. The 27 to Jonathan Cogswell in second. Frankenfield, Adams, Rusty Webb, your top five. Immediately jumps to the green flag, and Simmons is taken off right now.
Yeah, Cogswell really struggling to get up to speed there. Now we're going to get across the line here. You can see Adams is stuck in behind traffic. Now Rusty Webb two's inside as they fly it off into turn 2.
Took a look for 3 wide for a second. I think Adams backed out of it, knowing that wasn't going to be a great idea, but he's stuck behind the 27 and losing ground here.
And he's got Kyle Hanchen is inside. He just has absolutely nowhere to go, and I can imagine this frustration now in that cockpit. But there you see guys still struggling to sort out their position. There you see leaders Simmons, Frankenfield, Webb, your top 3.
8-car Lafferty hard in the fence out of turn 4.
Yeah, they're still green though.
Pulls right up in front of Dobbs. Dobbs has to jam on the brakes to miss him.
Oh, is he not happy with the 7 going?
Looked like he was going to go for him for a second. Keep your cameras on here just for one moment. Okay, I think we're good here.
Yeah, it looked like it.
Forgive us for being a little bit wary after what we saw earlier in the night. Frankenfield still keeping touch with the 83.
Yeah, and Simmons starting to fall into his clutches here. Frankenfield with some pressure tires.
And spinning Rusty Webb right in front of Joshua Adams. Caution flies here with 25 to go, and the field scrambles on the back straightaway. Does Adams get away without damage? He's got a little bit of a crinkle in the right front, but that was a disaster averted.
Yeah, I'm curious on how this started.
Well, let's find out how it started.
Oh.
All right, here's a look.
And here they come into turn 1.
Takes a look. He sees the door open, goes for it. The 88 shuts the door.
Yeah, yeah. I think 88 kind of came down into the 99.
Yeah. And we got to give Rusty Webb a big shout out for saving that car. That could have been a crash.
Yeah, it was a sideways enough to bring out the caution and did a fantastic job saving it.
Could have been a lot worse than it was. That was still a little bit optimistic there by the 99, I think, just a tad. That was a small hole to begin with, but there was a hole there, so he went for it, and the 88 got looped around. Head back up live here, Finian, but 25 to go. The progress has slowed significantly in the closing laps here. We had 3 cautions in the first 100 laps, and lately it's had another 5, so it's been quite messy lately.
Yeah, indeed, and I still don't think we're quite done yet, as we got we're now currently on 25 laps to go.
Gosh, this is just a battered front group. The 83 has gotten a penalty and had to charge his way back through the field. The 15 car wrecked in the early stages. He's fought his way back through. The 99 had a penalty earlier. He fought his way back through. Kyle Hanshaw, his car was destroyed from the get-go. He's fought his way back to the front. Rusty Webb, where did he come from in fifth?
Yeah, he came from, and then got almost spun out there on that last caution, but was able to save it. Is now back up in there. So yeah, I think almost everyone has been in the back or in the front at one point tonight.
All right, I do want to see, Finian, while we're sitting here waiting, I would like to see the difference between lap 1 and lap 100 here with the rubber on the racetrack. So let's get a good look at turn number 4 here. And forgive me for one moment while I grab a replay of this. And we'll take a look at earlier in the night. If I can flip this.
Good thing you're in practice.
Here we go. It'll work either way. So, here's a look. This is way back at the earlier part of the night in practice. And now, significantly darker.
Yeah. We haven't been able to really see that outside lane get darker. Oh, I was going to say, I thought I didn't see Frankenfield there for a second. I thought maybe he came down the pit road, but yeah. I haven't been able to see that outside lane get as dark as we thought, but
yeah, I don't
think we had enough of a run to really darken it.
I think a lot of the drivers have been focusing on that inside lane. We've seen some drivers actually. You see the 99 up there now.
Maybe he's trying to put some rubber down there.
Well, a little bit late for that, but you see, the rubber has spread farther up the racetrack here. I think that's the important distinction. Actually, I could probably do a better job of this too. Let me try this one more time. Let's see here. Let's get session lap. We're under yellow. I might as well just try this out. All right, so here is lap 3 of the race. And we'll let this field roll on by. So take a look at the rubber here, Finian, and you can see how it's about a quarter, just about halfway up the racetrack.
Yeah, about halfway. And
then we skip ahead to now. And that's not what I wanted to look at. So that kind of screwed that whole thing up. But now you see how much darker it is.
Yeah.
And for those on YouTube can scroll on back and look at that more properly, but my tools are not cooperating very nicely. So, yeah, it has slid up the racetrack about 5 to 10 feet and gotten significantly darker.
Should be expecting 1 to green.
And looks like we will get it this time. So we'll have a restart with about 22 laps to go. And Simmons had a fantastic flying restart. Here's my interesting comment, though, Finian. The 83 went all the way down to the apron almost on the front straight. And so I guess really is the decision by the administrators really the halfway point in the racetrack, and you can go anywhere above it, anywhere below if you're on the outside or inside?
I think it's in relation to the cars around you. I think generally how the lane kind of falls into kind of splitting the field in half in rows.
Yeah, because I think I'm just interested because the 83 went so far low last time. Farther low than he went high on the previous restart where he got penalized.
I think the distinction is these guys are kind of put, in you cut through the middle of both rows. They kind of cut that in half, and if you cross that imaginary line between
that seems
them,
to be what
or,
they're going
or if you're
here.
changing your lane from the inside to the outside or outside to inside.
Quick look at the conditions here, Finian. Still 97 degrees on the track, so it's cooler than it has been all night. The sun beginning to set here. The track bathed in a golden glow. 22 laps to go. James Simmons in the JTR 83 Camaro brings it back down to the green.
And green flag is back out here now in the final stretches of this race. Here comes Joshua Adams to the inside of Frankenfield.
He's got to make this stick here, Finian. He's got to get ahead of this 15 car if he wants a chance at the championship next week.
Yeah, he's got the more preferred line here. Franklin's going to get the run off the corner, but I think Adams might be victorious in here if he can keep it up here.
We'll see which driver prevails, which line is the better one. Out of turn 4, the 99 of Joshua Adams. He's been the quicker car than Frankenfield all night, door to door out of turn 4. And next time through, we'll have 20 laps to go.
Yeah, it looks like they're pretty much dead even there. Frankenfield really able to start to ride that high line, but just can't get it done. Here comes Adams.
Oh!
Gonna clear him.
Took advantage of the 15 off of turn 2, and that puts the 99 in front of Chad Frankenfield. So now that points deficit is now trending in the right direction for Joshua Adams.
He's going to have to try to chase down now James Simmons up in the lead there, try to trail him back down, but also keeping Frankenfield at bay.
Last time through was about a 10th off of Simmons. Simmons ran a 24.0. Adams was a 24.1. Battle between Jonathan Cogswell and Richard Hines. Hines going to take that spot on the high side.
Ooh, Hines getting to the wall on the straightaway there, losses momentum in the corner. Here comes Cogswell up back to the inside. He's going to get ahead of him.
Away, Donovan Smith to the inside. Ooh, Kluser, who's hard in the fence out of turn 4. So did Lafferty. Oh, contact there with the 20 of Batista sideways into turn 1.
Just going to keep it going, rolling in the right direction. Here comes Dave Hunt now to the inside of Kluser's.
Battle for 4th now. Wilson and Hanshaw. Wilson just stole that spot away. Last time through, Adams was the quickest car on the racetrack. He's got Frankenfield all over his rear bumper.
Yeah, these guys have been running very close in lap times these last few laps through. Adams just a little bit slower than Simmons last lap.
These front three are all just right on top of each other pace-wise here. So they come down to who's got the quickest car in this last run. It's that battle for sixth we were watching. Rusty Webb, Cogswell, and Hines. And Donovan Smith back here as well. And that 20 car, Batista's got that left front all smashed in. Oh, hard in the fence. Jonathan Smith out of turn 4.
He gets to the wall, and Batista also behind them. Now Dave Hunt, who's inside, has to back out of it.
Adams up front, continuing to inch closer to James Simmons every lap we go here. 24.213. That's 300ths quicker than Simmons last time through, but will they trade spots again? Tight off of turn 4 for the 99. Quicker still for the 99, so he is running a little bit quicker, but so is Frankenfield just behind him.
Yeah, Frankenfield actually the fastest of that three. Both these guys behind 10 faster than the leader, so they're all closing in on each other here in these closing laps. As they come back across the line, it's going to be 15 laps to go for these guys.
15 to go, and it's James Simmons, Joshua Adams, and Frankenfield. The two trailing drivers are still a little bit quicker. That time, just about even between the front three. Frankenfield is keeping pace with the 99. I thought that Adams would check out, but Frankenfield's found some pace, and it's all over the rear bumper, that 99, pressuring him here a little bit.
Yeah, now what I'm curious is does Frankenfield have enough pace to get around Adams? And that's kind of the big question mark here.
Oh, big scramble in turn 4, and Josh Batiste is all torn up, and the 8 car looks Lafferty.
Yeah, that car is junk, also the 8 as well. So these guys definitely got into some contact. 53 bouncing off the fence, hard impact to the inside wall, and then 20 car slides up the racetrack right into the 8. So again, the 53 taking out a couple cars if you're bouncing off the fence. And that 20 car's night is going to be over, but let's back to the battle for the lead. Simmons, his lead is beginning to dwindle here, Finian. A little bit of a flash from Adams. And these guys still catching him, but at a very slow rate. But I mean, they're closing at the rate that they need to here. Got a decent amount of time to work with.
Cogswell and Hines trading spots in the back straight. Oh, hard crash on the back straight of the 51. Huge impact into the fence, and the 53 of Hunt involved again, and Smith crashed on the back straightaway.
Yeah, caution is out yet again here, and big wreck on the back straightaway with Donovan Smith and Rusty Webb.
That was a huge impact. I think Rusty Webb was slow out of turn 2, and then just nowhere for these guys. Oh man, that was just a huge mistake by Webb to pull across the racetrack like that. I think the biggest thing you have to be here, Finian, is predictable when you're slow like that, and Webb just pulled across the racetrack right into the path of some oncoming drivers.
Dave Hunt also getting a big piece of that.
Yeah, and again, there was more to this. The 88 got knocked into, I believe, out of turn 2. You see him at the top of the screen here in a second. Yep, gets hit. And then that was the 27 to Cogswell, and then just pulls across the racetrack and right into those trailing cars. Again, just a mistake by Webb to pull across the racetrack. I think if he had stayed high there, everyone would have been okay. But things happen quickly.
Yeah, indeed, they do, and it's so hard to react there, and I don't think there's really anything Donovan Smith could have done to avoid that, and he's going to pay the price here.
Yeah, Donovan Smith's car is destroyed, and that night is over for the 51. What a shame. He was having such a good rebound from a mid-race slide towards the rear, and had a good night overall. But Finian, we do have a couple strategy plays here. David Wilson out on the racetrack. Jonathan Cogswell in second.
Yeah, indeed, and our leaders have come down on pit road, and we'll catch them now race off pit road. It's going to be Simmons ahead of Frankenfield, and Adams also going to come out. 2
tire stops for the 83 and the 15, and a 4 tire stop for the 99. Interesting.
Yeah, interesting move here. I'm curious if... I don't know.
Well, again, this is the strategy that I probably would have played if I was Wilson, because we've had a quick string of cautions back to back to back to back. The chance of another one happening on a late race restart, very high. And if we get probably 1 or 2 more, this race could be over. So I think Wilson's playing that strategy on the hopes that they crash, and he'll just begin to steal a victory without even really trying too hard. He'll be in good shape.
Yeah, indeed. So recap of the strategy at play here. Wilson and Cogswell stayed out on old tires. We could actually pull up the graphic there. So I got 21 laps on Wilson's tires, and that's all. That was pretty much a green flag run right there. Cogswell 14. And then Simmons, Frankenfield with 2 tires, Adams, everyone else behind with 4.
All right, well, I don't know if the 4 tires is going to pay dividends as much as you would like it to with this few laps left, but worth a try maybe.
Yeah, definitely worth a try. I mean, it couldn't really hurt him. I mean, Adams pretty much he lost one position to Frankenfield, but I mean, you never know, those extra tires could help him. So we'll see how it plays out here between all 5 of these drivers.
David Wilson started the night in 9th place. This is the highest he's been all day on this strategy call, so the 39 sitting in a great place if they crash again on the restart, and we'll see.
And here's the thing, though. We're talking about crash being on the restart, but these guys have to make sure they're careful not to be the crash on the restart, because, again, they're on older tires that have less grip, and so they got to be careful on making sure they don't spin their tires on the restart, but they're both controlling it, so I would say the odds of that are kind of low, but it could still happen.
Well, Wilson's got the advantage that he can go as soon as that pace car pulls off. We've seen that be a massive advantage here, especially at Dover, where it's hard to get the power down before you're on the straightaway. So Wilson's in a great spot. I think Cogswell's a little bit in trouble here because he's going to get jumped from the drivers that just took tires behind him. And I do believe Wilson has the oldest tires of the front group here. And he does. He's got 22 laps, so 7 more than Cogswell. But I don't think it's going to matter when Wilson has a big enough jump. The field looking battered and bruised here. I don't think there's anybody in this on the racetrack that doesn't have any damage. I think the closest one we could probably find is Corey Lindsay in the 00. That's the only car left running without a scratch on it.
And hopefully it stays like that. Unfortunately for Lindsay, he's 3 laps down. He was able to get 2 of them back, but is struggling. I mean, if he continues, though, he will finish in 11th as Donovan Smith has retired. And speaking of retirements, we got 11 cars now running on the track. This is only 10 of them on the lead lap. So
the Monster Mile is getting full. Miles the Monster has had his snacks, and he's had several course meal tonight as well, claiming most of the drivers in the second half here.
Yeah, over half the field is gone. We started with 23, now down to 11. So we've lost 12 cars here, and potentially still in more here as we're coming to the restart here. Cogswell is lagging back quite a bit.
Don't change lanes before the restart. Caution has been extended here 1 lap.
I'm curious if this is potentially something wrong here.
Potentially a scoring issue or someone trying to catch back up to the rear of the field, but the caution has been extended for 1 more lap, so we'll have to wait, and it'll be an 8 lap to go yellow.
Yeah, I'm curious. I think it might be telling Cogswell to stay behind the 15, and I think that's what we're trying to sort out here.
So also, Finney, keep in mind you can't take tires in the closing laps here.
10 to go, yeah. Oh, it's interesting here. What is going on? So, I think
there's confusion going on here.
I think what's happening, I think it's telling Cogswell to stay in behind Frankenfield, but obviously that's not correct. So I think he might be good here. They might have to clear Cogswell. Give him a black flag clear on the restart here.
This looks like real NASCAR. A lot of confusion.
Trying to figure it out.
Trying to figure out who goes where. But I think we're just going to roll with it here. 10 cars, make that 11 that are on the racetrack. 10 of them on the lead lap after starting with 23 tonight. We'll try this again. We're going to have 7 laps to the end of this race. If we get a caution with 5 to go or less, it'll be race over. So we just have to go 2 laps, maybe 3. And David Wilson in control of this race now.
Yeah, again, big here is going to be make sure none of these guys don't change lanes here. This potentially could be the final restart of the race here. Pace car is going to be off.
Pace car pulls off. Coming back to the green flag. Wilson fires off. The 27 does not go anywhere.
Oh, and he changed lanes.
That'll be a penalty for the 27. Big time there. And the 22 of Hanshaw juts over to the right, or the left-hand lane.
And Adams got completely screwed over on that restart there. He lost a lot of ground.
And so did James Simmons. Not a great restart for him.
This is going to be chaos here as now Adams to the inside of Hanshaw.
Hanshaw will give him the space. The 27 car really slow right now in the way of Richard Hines and Kloosterhuis. 6 laps to go out of turn 4. The 27 car just trying to stay out of the way at this point.
Yeah, and out for the lead here. Frankenfield just completely driving by the 39. He's going to inherit the lead of this race. Wilson in second and Simmons in third.
Yeah, I don't think that tire strategy was going to play out, but Frankenfield could just back into this one with some clever strategy here. But I don't think Simmons or Adams is going to have enough time to get back up to the 15.
No, I think they're pretty much racing for second place now with Wilson on no tires, Simmons on 2, Adams on 4. It's going to be race for second place from here on out.
Simmons is going to get by the 39. The question is does the 99 of Adams get an opportunity to get around the 83 car?
Simmons being very aggressive, giving a bump to the 39 on exit. Here comes Adams now around the outside. He's got Wilson in front of him.
Maybe try to do a crossover here on corner exit. Maybe take him 3 wide. Not quite. He's going to squeeze by the 39 on corner exit.
Oh, it gives him just enough room. Ooh, a little bit of contact there on the straightaway, but Adams is going to clear Wilson. Now he's going to have to set his sight on James Wilson now with 4 laps to go.
Chad Frankenfield out up front by 9/10 of a second. No challenge for the lead right now. The battle is for second place. Simmons and Adams 0.2 of a second. Make it 1.5 tenths separating them. Cogswell has pulled into the pits, Finney, and I think that's night over for the 27.
Yeah, pretty much so with that penalty. And now here comes Adams still trying to chase down Simmons. 3 laps ago. Does he have enough?
Nobody chasing down Frankenfield. He's been unstoppable this season. The only one that's been comparable has been Joshua Adams, but too far back in the late race restart to do anything with him. Can he get by James Simmons in the Johnny Thomas Racing Camaro that had a penalty earlier? Has rebounded nicely. 2 laps to go here. 2 miles left around the Monster Mile.
Adams is putting the car on the wall just a little bit, trying to gain some sort of ground over the 83 of Simmons. And I don't think he's got enough here.
He's going to give it one heck of a try here in the closing laps. White flag in the air for Chad Frankenfield, a second up the road. The battle is for second place, though. Simmons and Adams.
Yeah, as he come off of turn 4, white flag in the air for Chad Frankenfield. And how about him? Got wrecked earlier in the race, got put down the order, drove his way back up to first here. And unless something happens to him in these last 2 corners, he's going to have it.
Battle for second is now starting to die off. Simmons is holding off Adams well, but Chad Frankenfield from the back to the front, from the pit stops, from the damage, he's going to come out of turn 4 for the 3rd time this season. Chad Frankenfield will win the 3-Wide Driver Development Series at Dover.
And will extend his points lead as well. James Simmons will come in 2nd, Joshua Adams 3rd, David Wilson 4th, Kyle Henshaw in 5th, Rusty Webb 6th, Richard Hines in 7th, Brandon Kloosterhuis in 8th, David Hunt in 9th, and Corey Lindsay rounding out your top 10.
What a wild race to finish this one off. Frankenfield steals that one away. Didn't have the fastest car tonight, had lots of damage, but managed to get ahead in the late race going here, and that restart did not help Adams or Simmons out, and they'll come home empty-handed tonight after 150 laps at Dover. Frankenfield again, he's been so good this season. Add another race to his list.
Yeah, indeed. Really earned this one, driving all the way. Was near the top of the field, fell back and drove back up again, didn't give up the entire race, and had a hell of a drive.
I wouldn't call it domination, but I'd say that he made the least mistakes and was in the right positions in the closing laps of this one. But got a feel for Joshua Adams and James Simmons, and especially with that penalty earlier for the 83 that was definitely not well received by that Johnny Thomas Racing team. And might have lost him the race tonight. Was up front, led the most laps tonight easily, had the biggest lead, about 4.5 seconds at one point, but wasn't enough in the end to beat the 15 of Chad Frankenfield. Winner here at Dover. We'll talk to him in just a few minutes. Stay with us. Welcome back live here to SimTV. Talking now with 4th place finisher David Wilson, driving the number 39 Camaro. David, a gutsy strategy call there at the end. Didn't quite work out, but still a top 5 finish for you. Walk us through those closing laps.
Well, I figured we had a hard time on the restart, spinning tires and whatnot, but with just a few laps to go, I figured everybody be all really aggressive and maybe cause a quick caution, and I'd stay out front and take it. But I don't know. I really didn't lose any spots. I mean, I stayed out. I was running fourth, and ended up finishing fourth, so it all turned out okay, I reckon.
What were the track conditions like? We saw the track rubber up pretty significantly, and the track temperature dropped in the latter half of the race. Did you feel that on the racetrack, or did it seem like it was pretty slick the whole night?
Definitely slick early on. It did tighten up a lot towards the last half of the race. I even thought that it was really cool. My teammate told me that it was like 90-some degrees, but it felt a lot cooler.
All right, well, fourth place for David Wilson. Thanks for talking to us, David, and congrats on a solid top 5 finish.
Hey, thanks, guys.
No problem. Now we're going to talk to third place Joshua Adams, and then driver the number 99. Josh, an up and down night tonight. Had a penalty earlier in the night. We're able to rebound from that, but got caught up in some late race restarts, and were not able to get back up to Chad Frankenfield or James Simmons. Walk us through your night.
Yeah, it started off pretty good. Started second, led a lot of laps in the beginning, and then 83 had me covered on the long run. I didn't have anything on the long run. I was driving the right front off of it. And then, yeah, it's like I got that penalty on pit road, got to the back, made a good rebound off of it, and then just started getting lined up in the long line. And then the 27 just, I don't know, it's another week where a guy that is running like 15th or 16th all race that shouldn't be there lines up on the front row and just screws everybody else. So
we saw you were probably one of the cars that passed the most vehicles out there tonight. The inside lane seemed like the dominant line, but could you do anything with the outside?
Yeah, if you could pin the guy on the bottom down and make him not be able to turn off the exit, you could be up top. But if you just wanted to make time, I think you had to be on the bottom. Like, you could race somebody on the top, but if you wanted to make a fast lap, you had to be on the.
And as we look forward to the last race of the season, you're going to walk in a couple points behind Chad Frankenfield. What's your goal for next week? Is there anything specific, or is it just go out there and try to pick up one more victory before the season's over?
Just go try to win, try to beat the 15, and just see where everything falls at the end. Hopefully, there's not a opportunity for a real slow guy to mess you up a whole lot at Talladega, so that shouldn't be an issue next week.
All right, Joshua Adams, third place at Dover. Thanks for talking to us. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
All right, now we're going to talk to the 83, James Simmons. And James had quite the night. James, walk us through. I know there's got to be a little bit of disappointment there. The call on the restart. We looked at it from as many different angles as we could find. First of all, we want to wish you congratulations on a solid second place finish in the Johnny Thomas Racing 83. But what was your perspective on not only the penalty call there, but also the race?
Yeah, it's definitely frustrating because that really put us behind the 8 ball for the rest of the race. We were having a good race up until that point, but the way I see it, I looked at the replay a couple times. There was room for another car above me is the way I see it. So obviously they don't see it that way. We're going to have to discuss it further, but I'm still learning how they call things. But as far as the race goes, I was having a solid race. I was kind of worried that those guys were going to be a lot quicker, but on the long run, I really could hook the bottom, and guys were trying to run the top, and I don't think that was the best route for the tires on the long run, but it was a good run.
A good run indeed, James, and obviously a second place isn't bad, but you look at this as a little bit of a missed opportunity. I mean, obviously you had the quickest car out there. I think you still had the best lap of the field. Yes, you did, by about 0.003 of a second over Adams. But you look out here a little bit disappointed, or are you happy with second?
Oh, happy is not the word. I would have not settled for anything other than a win there. I mean, with the way I was driving, pulling away from everybody on those runs, I mean, there's no reason that race shouldn't have been mine. So I guess we'll just have to try again.
All right, James Simmons, second place tonight at Dover. Thanks for talking to us. We'll see you next week.
Yep.
So, well, hey, there's Chad Frankenfield. We'll talk to you now. Hey, Chad, driving the number 15 Mustang tonight. Started off on a really strange note. There was an incident between you and Chad Brown. But you were able to rebound from that and came home victorious for the third time this season. Walk us through your night from start to finish.
I mean, it was a real roller coaster of a race. I screwed up the start and spun the tires. I've never ran the Xfinity car here before, so I didn't really practice restart. So I spun it, hit the wall. So I ended up having about 2 minutes of optional pair by the end of the night total. Then I guess Chad Brown, I don't know exactly what happened. I don't know if he got loose or whatever. That kind of set me back again. But the car was just quick. I mean, I was able to, as the race went on, I felt more comfortable every lap, figuring out where I needed to be. And then by the end of it, I would say I was definitely top 3 or top 4 car. And then when that restart happened, I was hoping David would take the outside because I knew I'd be able to get the guys in the bottom there pinned behind the 27, and that's what happened. I mean, it's unfortunate that those guys had to deal with the restart they dealt with, but obviously I was able to benefit from it.
Chad, you're going to be in a great position next week heading into the final round in the points. Any specific strategy for next week, or just keep doing what you're doing?
I don't know. I'm going to have to talk to my team owner, Levi, and see what he recommends. I expect everybody to come out of the woodworks next week to run Talladega, so I'm expecting a 40-car field. I'm just going to look at the points, see where it's at, and just try to make sure I'm where I need to be with Josh. I would almost, like I said, would rather go aggressive for the stage points than the finish. So, we're going to have to play it by ear and to see how many cars we got next weekend and then base it off of that.
All right, well, Chad Frankenfield, winner again here in the 3WideRacing Driver Development Series. Chad, congrats, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you very much.
I think that rounds out tonight's race at Dover, but next week we head to Talladega to determine a champion. That's interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be an interesting race nonetheless. It's going to be an interesting dynamic because you normally don't see that happen in a lot of leagues. You'll see it start at a super speedway, but not necessarily end at a super speedway. So it'll be interesting for this short little 6-round series.
All right, well, here's what's coming up on SimTV the next week. There's a lot of stuff, so stay tuned for just one moment. We'll walk you through it. Tomorrow night, the 3-Wide Roval Cross Triple Crown has their second of 3 rounds from the New Hampshire Roval. That's a fun racetrack. It's a fun combination. That'll be at 9:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow night. Tuesday, it's going to be the Fuel Host Venom Cup Series from Atlanta alongside the Grid Life iRacing League. They're going to be at Road Atlanta for their season finale. Wednesday night's the Washington, D.C. region SCCA from the Charlotte Roval. Thursday night's Scars Ferrari Challenge from, where are they?
That's Tsukuba.
Tsukuba, right.
Yep. And also on Thursday, I'm going to be streaming my start in the Lionheart Retro Series. That will be live streamed from my point of view. That'll be right after the Ferrari Challenge race at around 10:40.
All right, so catch that SimTV POV from Finian's perspective. It'll be the first time he's done one of those. That's coming on Thursday night. And then Friday, we're back with the Virtual Racing League Xfinity Series from ISM Raceway. And then Outsider is coming up. I don't even know where they are. Oh, Auto Club next week. So the 2-mile, 550 horsepower package. It's going to be an interesting race. So stay tuned next Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for that. That's what's coming up on SimTV. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you tomorrow night at 9:45 p.m. Thanks a lot. Have a good night.